And welcome, folks, to the official signing day show, the New Blue signing day show, brought to you by our friends at Champion Circle. That the real show starts at 3 o'clock. This is just the pre-show. This is the warm-up. This is like the stage setter, if you will, where we get you kind of introduced and warmed up for the main event. We want to talk to many of the signees for the 2025 class, the guys who are going to be taking Michigan into the next phase of championship football. Because as you saw, the last phase of championship football, it really started with this core group that really understood what it was about. The blue collar work ethic that we saw, Jim Harbaugh kind of get guys who were invested in banding together, really guys who were about banding together with one another, and guys from in-state really building in the trenches, guys who from the quarterback who really wanted to rally the troops and get guys who really fought and believed in, hey, you know what, fellas, doesn't really matter what they're saying about us elsewhere. It matters what we were saying about one another, talking about JJ McCarthy. Well, you really had to believe in Michigan if you are a guy like Bryce Underwood and you're looking at, hey, not a whole lot of positive things are being said about the offense, but I'm going to stay home and do it anyway. That's what number 19 decided to say. And number 19 is going to join us here on the New Blue Signing Day show coming up in a couple of hours. So stay tuned for that. We're going to talk to Sherrone Moore. He's going to join us here. We're going to talk to Andrew Babalola. He's going to join us. Got a great slate of guests. We're also going to have some guests here in studio with us as well. We got Elijah Dotson coming in studio. We got Bobby Kanka coming here in studio. So it's going to be a jam-packed show introducing you to those Wolverines who, like I said, are going to carry you into the future. We're also going to learn about how NIL, as you've heard me say, is not a spectator sport. NIL is a participatory thing. And the folks at Champion Circle have done a great job, an outstanding job of fundraising, of collecting a group of individuals who are really invested in the future of Michigan athletics, the University of Michigan in general, not just Michigan athletics. Let's make that clear. You talk about the major benefactors that make up the collective that is Champion Circle, much more invested in the University of Michigan beyond athletics. So I want to make that clear, but certainly invested in Michigan athletics. But you can't just rely on them. And that's what this New Blue initiative is all about. And so we're going to be telling you more about that as we get into the main show from 3 until 5. But that's also where you come in. Because when I say it's a participatory sport, if you want it to continue, if you want it to perpetuate, you can't just have the reliance on the major benefactors. I think the rank and file, the fans that we all are, you got to do your part too. So we will get into that a little bit later. But let's bring in our first guest. This young fella is a young man that we got a chance to get out and see. He's been in this studio a couple of times already. He is a mainstay on this show, a very familiar face, very comfortable behind the camera. He was one of the first ones I called. I said, Kainoa Winston, the folks want to hear from you. From Gonzaga Prep down in Washington, D.C. He is a heat-seeking missile in the secondary, a track guy who is, when you talk to him, says, hey, man, I do more than run fast. I will stick my nose in there. I have contact courage. I'm a heady guy back there as well, very smart, can dissect in offense. And if you need me, you want to call on me to play a little offense, I can do that too if you ask me to. Talking about young Kainoa Winston. Kainoa, first of all, congratulations on officially becoming a Wolverine.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, glad that you could join us and, appreciate you taking the time to come and spend with us today here on the New Blue Show. So first of all, let's go back to the beginning and have you talk to the people about why it was that you decided that Michigan was the place for you? Why did you officially decide to become a Wolverine?
I feel like it was like aligned a lot with my like core norms and all that. I just feel like Michigan is like it's like right now. Like I'm at Gonzaga right now, so it's just hard schoolwork, hard nosed football, and just I feel like Michigan is a very like physical football team too. And then what you put in, you get out. So you work hard, you're gonna get like good rewards coming out of that. So that's really why I chose Michigan.
And so, Kainoa, I want you, for folks who haven't seen you play, I want you to pretend for a second you're a coach or a scout in the stands, and you're watching Kainoa Winston on the football field. Give the folks an idea of what they'll see when they watch you on the football field. Break down your game.
I mean, if I was a coach, I'd probably say I'm like a fast and physical, just like heat-seeking junkie at the end of the day. Just someone just want to go out there and just hit somebody. I mean, that's really why I pride my game on just laying my body on the line every play. And then if I was a coach, I'd probably just say like a little. I mean, I know I'm smaller a little bit, but I know like that ain't affect who I am as a person. So just a physical, just little, like a little, like annoying that sometimes be swatting around your face, just like that annoying dude that's gonna run, hit hard, and cover good.
Yeah, and so now that you get a chance to be a player for Coach Morgan, I talked to Shamari Earls about this a little bit earlier in the day. You know, it's one thing to be recruited by him. I'm curious, now that you've gotten a chance to see him coach, give me an idea of what you have seen from that side of him, because you got a chance to learn about him and get to know him from a relationship standpoint, but you've gotten a chance to see his secondary grow over the course of the season. Give me an idea of your impressions of him as a coach and what you think about him as a talent developer.
I feel like as a coach, he's really like how he is as a regular person. He not like I know like you think of college coaches, he's like all loud and like all rowdy, but Coach Morgan, he really like laid back. And he gonna get you right. He's not gonna yell at you. He's gonna correct you. He's really like a father figure in that sense. Like he's not gonna yell at you and say you wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. Like that's not him. He's really just gonna correct the little things you do, all the little technical things. And that's why I think a lot of people like him as a person and a coach. At the end of the day, he's not gonna be the one yelling at you, yell at you. I mean, if you need it, he gonna yell at you, but he gonna really get you on the little small things. That's what he really prides himself on.
All right, and so you know, from Coach Morgan to Coach Moore, the head man at the University of Michigan obviously has to be an essential part of your decision to go blue. And so, what about Coach Moore, man? I mean, you know, you go into Columbus, you get a W, and you see a guy who's able to command a belief factor from his team, the way Coach Moore was able to do. What about Coach Moore? Your impressions of him and the man that you're going to go play for in Ann Arbor? Talk about Coach Moore and your impressions of him.
I feel like even like me not even being on the team yet, but I feel like a lot of players on the team, like he's one of the coaches that you're gonna love playing for at the end of the day. Just like one of the coaches that like works hard, keeps committed to the program. Is one of them coaches that like at the end of the day you're just gonna love playing for him. Just his norms and what he values in the team. And then he's really just like a father to the whole team. Really like Coach Morgan. Just really like if you need like help or some or like something not going good in your life, or you just need someone to talk to, I feel like Coach Moore is really gonna be that coach.
You know, one of the things that I liked about watching your recruitment and listening to you, you know, Coach Moore, Coach Morgan, they recruited you vigorously at a time where a lot of people said that it was futile. A lot of folks had you Kainoa, and you know, we talked a lot during your recruitment. They said, hey, man, he's going to Penn State. KJ goes to your cousin. KJ goes to Penn State. That's where he's going to go. He's going with his cousin. And you kept saying, man, I'm looking around. I like Penn State. I've been to Penn State a lot, very familiar. My parents like it, the whole nine. You were very honest about that, but you were like, I'm not guaranteed to go to Penn State, right? You know, I'm looking around. And Michigan, they kept recruiting you. They recruited you vigorously despite your familial ties. And so they sort of ignored that and formed that relationship with you anyway, man. And I wonder what you thought about that, because, man, it just felt like a lot of people had some preconceived notions about what you were going to do. Yeah. And you kept saying, nah, don't listen to that. And Michigan didn't. They recruited you hard anyway.
Yes, sir. I know at the end of the day, I know my cousin KJ goes there, but at the end of the day, like he supports me to this day. It's really just my decision. And that's why I really think I know like this whole recruitment thing, like, oh, like I'm a lock to go to Penn State because my cousin go there. I mean, at the end of the day, I knew like at the end of the day, just it's my decision. And then even going to high school, I know he goes up the street to DeMatha, and I go to Gonzaga now. So we're two rival high schools right now, or those are two rival high schools. And so and I don't know why everybody thought that I was gonna go to Penn State, but I mean it's all love there too. But at the end of the day, I gotta do what's best for me, and I thought what's best for me is going to Michigan.
All right, man. So last but not least, I always like to have young men as they talk about their journeys, take some time to thank the people who helped you get here. We spent some time with your dad when he came here in studio, taking you across the country, taking you to all these different places so you can explore the opportunities that you had at these different schools, man. So what about your parents? I know you brought your mom up. She had to take a look at Michigan too to figure out what it was all about. So what about your circle, the people who helped you along the way on your journey, and their role, the role that they had in helping you get here, and what this must be like for them as you finally officially became a Wolverine? Take a minute to talk about them and how they helped you along this path.
Yeah, I really just gotta give it up all to God and all to my family at the end of the day. I know I'm about to go sign with them now. Just spending time with my family. I know my mom, my brother, my sister, my dad too. Like all of them, they really just put in a lot in my life, and I just really thank them the whole my 17 years. I really thank them. I thank God for putting me in this position, be this grateful, and then impact those around me. But really, my mom just getting me right with my schoolwork, bringing me here and there. Same with my dad, getting me right with football, schoolwork, bringing me places. And my sister just really helped me grow up and mature through my life. And then my little brother, I mean, he's only what, like 6, 7 years old right now. Like all he knows is he's been following me around. All he knows is my life. So I really just owe it up all to them. And then of course, like my other relatives, my cousins, my like grandparents, all that, my uncles, aunties, like all of them. I really just owe it all to them. And that's at the end of the day, I'm doing it for them. So whatever I go out there doing the field, I always know in the back of my head I gotta play for my family. So I really owe it up all to my family, all the Winstons, everybody related to me, everybody around the world that's related to me. I really owe it up all to them.
Well, Kainoa, hey man, I want to thank you again for taking time out of this very busy day, very exciting day for you to spend with us every single time I've called, whether it's coming by the studio, on your visits, calls. You always make time. I appreciate that. Congratulations on a very special day. Can't wait to see you in the maize and blue. Good luck, and we'll be catching up with you again soon, man. Thanks a lot.
Hey, you too. Go Blue.
All right. Kainoa Winston, future, well, now current Wolverine, as he's signed with the Maize and Blue, here with us on the New Blue Signing Day show, brought to you by Champion Circle. That portion of the show starts coming up here in about a half an hour. And so, listen, as I said, we are going to have a jam-packed slate of guests. It's going to be a festive occasion. We'll lay out the full slate and the full run, and we're going to take a pause as we get our first studio guest here to the stage. So Benjamin, if you can give us a little pause on the screen, give us a little camera pause so we can bring our first guest to the stage and let the folks. So we're going to take a brief pause, bring a guest to the stage. We're going to have Bobby Kanka up here for you folks. And then we'll be back here in a moment on the New Blue Signing Day show. So just hit stop cam, and mute mic. Stop.
If I unmute that, can you hear?
Let me see. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I can hear now.
All right.
All right.
All right. So when you want to start, Cam?
Ready?
All right. 5, 4, 3.
And we are back, folks, here on the New Blue Signing Day show, brought to you by Champion Circle. We'll tell you more about that campaign starting at 3 o'clock. But joining us here in studio is a young man that you've seen on this set before from Howell, Michigan. We got a chance to get out and see him do his thing, not just on defense. You might just think you see him at his defensive end spot, but we saw him catch a key big, what was it? Was it fourth down, Bobby? Was that a fourth down? Youngster, a lot of schools chasing you, but you knew early on you wanted to be a Wolverine. How did you know so early that Michigan was the place for you?
Yeah, I grew up watching Michigan and going to Michigan football games, and somebody told me at the very beginning of my recruiting process, when you know, and it's kind of hard to describe that feeling if you haven't felt it before, but I felt it and I knew, and so I pulled the trigger early, and it's been home ever since. So
Yeah, man, and never wavered. As a matter of fact, one of the things you did was try to help pull other guys in, and so you look at guys like Avery and Kaden, and the guys here in the state of Michigan. That was a big part of the core of this class and the kind of the anchor of this class, and eventually now Bryce, of course. But yeah, you guys, do you feel like you're the anchors of this class?
Absolutely, I feel like if you're in Michigan and you don't go to Michigan and you have the opportunity to go to Michigan, you're doing something wrong, in my opinion. Best place to be academically and football wise, and on top of that, you can be a great human being while you're doing it all. So, I think we started it off early and kind of instilled a belief in everybody else and in the class and the country that even the people inside the state that have been around it the most believe in it enough to stay home. So I think that holds a lot of power.
So Bobby, it's interesting you say that, because belief in Michigan, for you, it had to be tested. It's not like it's this unwavering thing. The coaching staff changed.
Absolutely.
So, your belief gets tested, and you have to say, okay, what do I believe in? And let me meet these new guys and see if the belief is still there. And you found out it was. Kind of talk us through that.
Yeah, I think naturally when a big change like that happens, you have to kind of take a step back and evaluate what's going on. And I think that's the only natural thing that can happen. And so throughout that whole process, all I could do was try my best to get to know the new staff and see what they're all about and what they wanted to do. And I couldn't be happier with who they brought in, and Coach Espo and all the other coaches and Coach Wink. And I think they did a great job. And over time of building relationships with them and seeing how they coach and how they treat their players, I think it was a great move, and I couldn't be happier with what they did. So they made it pretty easy to want to stay here. So
yeah, I saw Coach Espo at your game, man. It felt like he was grinning ear to ear the whole game, right? And so, what about Coach Espo? What about the connection you've been able to forge with him? What's that connection like, and what do you think of him as a coach?
I mean, I've always been a pretty easy guy, and so Coach Espo, I've said this in multiple interviews before, but him being a straight shooter with you is just a type of guy I want to be around. I think that's the best way to grow and the best way to improve yourself. And you got to be able to take criticism and also get your praise when you need it. So I think he's the perfect coach for me to be around, and I think he's going to help me grow the most. And just his ability to tell the truth while also coaching at the same time is very valuable to me. And you can see that in how his players play. They play for him and play hard for him.
So I have my impressions of you as a player, Bobby. Haven't seen you so much over the years, but I like to have guys kind of talk about themselves and break themselves down. So why don't you do that for your fans? And you got all the folks on Facebook and Twitter, and YouTube. So appreciate all the folks on all the streams who watch us over on the Michigan Insider. Appreciate you for showing the love, but tell all the folks watching right now what they'll see when they watch Bobby Kanka on the football field.
Yeah, I'm not the flashiest football player. I know that. I'm not going to try to be the flashiest football player. I'm not doing a bunch of celebrations after I get a TFL. I know it. But I do know I play with technique. I play with effort. And in my opinion, that's really all you need to play defensive line. And I think I do it at a very high level. Like I said, play with technique, get off the ball, and go make plays. I think you can make a living off that. And I think Michigan's defensive line this year has shown a lot of that. It's just playing with your technique and playing physical. And I think that's really, if you watch my film, you'll see me doing that a lot and making plays.
So, guys that you were able to form relationships with, you, because you're one of the earliest guys in the class, it feels like you're one of the guys who has some of the most strongest, or maybe the most relationships in the class, right? You know more of the guys.
Mhm.
And so we're going to be talking to Eli Owens
Yeah.
coming up. So what about Eli? I like to have you talk about some of the other guys. So what about Eli? What can you tell us about Eli Owens?
Eli, just a great guy, great family. Every time I find out they're coming up to a game, it puts a smile on my face. I'm going to be roommates with him and Avery come 2-3 weeks. So I'm pumped. They're just great guys. Very similar mindsets, which is what makes our recruiting class so good and why it will be so good. It's just because they're recruiting guys with very similar mindsets and very similar goals. And so that'll make it really easy to kind of bond on and off the field and be able to have on-field success and off-field success. But Avery as a person, just a great guy, big character, obviously, as you know. But
Yeah.
one of my favorite guys to be around. You go do anything with that guy and have fun. So I'm just pumped to be with him and spend time with him and become his brother.
So I'm trying to remember. Have you matched up with Avery?
No, I've not.
So you, I mean, because I'm people who match up with Avery say that he kind of goes a little extra out there, like not to the whistle, but kind of like past the whistle. You think that's accurate?
Absolutely. Not saying it's a bad thing though. So
not a bad thing when you know your
no,
team, right?
absolutely not. So I'll take it. No, he's a baller. I watch his film and I'm impressed every time. He gets better and better every week. Another guy I just can't wait to be with and hang out with. We'll be best friends living with him too. So great athlete, great football player, great dude, just the whole package.
Yeah, I got to have you talk about Coach Moore before we let you go. They just went down to Columbus and done what no one really gave them a chance to do. At least no one outside Ann Arbor. I mean, you listen to us, we were talking about they haven't having a chance to do it, but that had to do with belief, man. They had to believe in their coach in order to be able to do that. So you obviously had to believe in him to be committed here. What about that? What about Coach Moore?
I think the most glaring thing is just the guys. Like, he can say all he wants and do whatever he wants, but the response he gets from his guys really proves that he's doing what he's preaching. And so I think that just shows me, along with all the rest of the recruits, that he's really doing what he's saying he's going to do. All the guys, you see Mason Graham run up to him after the game and give him a big hug. Mason isn't the loudest guy, but even the quietest guy on the team has a big bond with Coach Moore. And so I think that shows a lot in who Coach Moore is as a coach and a player. And if you can get however 100 guys to buy in when they're 20 years old, I think you're doing something right. So I'm hoping to add on to that count and buy into Coach Moore and do whatever he wants us to do to win.
All right. So before we let you go, I see some people over there who helped you get here. Right over there. And by the way, big supporters of the Michigan football breakdown.
Absolutely.
Focus on the offense with Al Borges and Vance Bedford. Like, wait a minute. I hear talk about Borges and some of the things that Vance. So they watch all the shows. So appreciate that. But mom and dad helped you get here, man. So what about that?
Yeah, just very thankful and very blessed. Been put in a great position for my family and just doing everything they can to put us and my siblings in the best spot possible to succeed. It's sad to kind of leave home, but like, I don't even get sad about it. Like some people are saying, "Oh, you got to go leave your family." No, I look at it as another step in my life, and another opportunity I have to make them proud. So like it's not sad for me to leave at all. In my opinion, I just want to go and make them even more proud. So for me, it's more opportunity to go make them more proud than I've already made them, because they deserve it all. So I just thank them and my family and my coaching staff, my teammates, my brothers back at school, just accepting me and allowing me to be the best version of myself. So
Well, Bobby, proud of you, man. I feel like we watched you grow up.
Thank you.
I
Thank
do.
you.
I do. I feel like we watched you grow up. I mean, you were always a big dude from the time we saw you, but way bigger now. And about to watch you get even bigger as you get over to Schembechler Hall and do your
Absolutely.
thing at the University of Michigan. So
Absolutely.
congratulations, man.
Thank
Can't
you.
wait to see you do your thing.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
All right, Bobby Kanka.
Thank you.
All right, folks. We continue here on the New Blue Signing Day Show, brought to you by our friends at Champion Circle. And we're going to keep it rolling as we continue on the virtual side. As I said, we were going to be having Eli Owens on. And so, Benjamin, producer Ben, by the way, I wish I could flip the camera around and put the camera on producer Ben, because sometimes I try to do this on my own. People might have saw the the live show the other day, and I was trying to put the branding up on. I was messing it up. It was terrible. I was like trying to do producer's Ben job. I couldn't do it. All right, so producer Ben is behind the ones and twos over there. Producer Ben, can you put Eli Owens up on the screen, please? Thank you very much. Is Eli Owens officially a Wolverine here on the New Blue Signing Day Show, brought to you by our friends at Champion Circle. First of all, Eli, congratulations on officially becoming a Wolverine.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. It feels like yesterday that you made your commitment to Michigan. You stayed strong. You stayed true. A lot of twists and turns, but you were always one of the diehards, man. What was it that made you know that Michigan was a place for you?
I felt at home. First visit I ever took in Michigan, I just was taken aback, and I was in awe of everything that there was about it, man. And from that point forward, everywhere else I went, it wasn't the same.
So you come up from Tennessee, though. I mean, you got to step over some schools, Eli, to come up to Michigan. You got to step over some SEC schools to come up to Michigan, man. And you had to hear about that from some folks down there. So how do you step over SEC schools to come all the way up here?
Oh, don't get it wrong. I definitely have heard my fair share of SEC bias. And back in the day, I was a big believer in it, but I think that it's just more important to where you feel comfortable and where you feel the most at home. And, for me, that place was Michigan. It's always been Michigan. And hopefully I can go be a star football player for them one day.
Yeah. And, you play a position that Michigan values. And I feel like, I wonder if that was something that kind of stood out to you, that when you talk about the versatility of what you do, and how they value what you do, how they emphasize what you do. I don't know that every program, that every school, that every coach does that. Was that something that resonated with you?
Yeah, that was probably the biggest thing that resonated with me. I consider myself a tight end right now, but I think I can do, so much more than what a tight end does. Now, if that means going to be a fullback, that means going to be a fullback, right? But I just wanted to be somewhere where, everything fit the way I wanted it to fit. And Michigan was just that. I like blocking. I like being a fullback. So it's somewhere that I can go, be that fullback in an I formation or lead block for somebody and get to catch passes here and there, along with getting a great education.
Yeah, man, it feels like, because when I see you, I see Max. I'm sure people have told you that before.
Maybe just a little.
It's like, you're the next Max. I'm not trying to put pressure on you, but that's who you remind me of. So, I mean, have you heard that before?
Yeah, only every day for the last year, But if there's anybody I'd want to be compared to, it'd be Max Bredesen. So, I mean, I'm going to walk in. Hopefully he gives me his blessing and I get to keep wearing 44 too. But only time will tell with that.
Yeah. So what about this coaching staff, Eli? I mean, this is there have been some changes, some twists and turns there, but the culture is the same. And Coach Moore obviously has perpetuated that culture. So what about him, and what was it about him that made you believe in him so much?
Well, I always thought he was going to be the guy, no matter what. Like, back when I first committed, I was still committed to Grant Newsome as the tight ends coach and Jim Harbaugh as the head coach. But I knew that even if Coach Harbaugh or Coach Newsome were to leave, that the program wasn't going to change. And that was really big for me, making sure that I stayed, inside the program that I fell in love with. And Coach Moore, he embodies everything that Michigan stands for and everything that Michigan is.
Absolutely. And then obviously Coach Newsome, the coach that you connected with, still around, but now you had to connect with Coach Kasula, very familiar to us who have been around here, but you had to get to know him. What's the vibe like with Coach Kasula?
Man, Stevie C, I love the guy. He's great. I did a little bit of research on him. He took a UMass offense from 200 yards a game to 400 yards a game right before he came back, and I think that's wonderful. And I think he is somebody that I'm willing and eager to learn from over these next 4 years, and he's going to go call a great bowl game here in a couple weeks.
All right, so this team went down to Columbus, went down to the belly of the beast, Eli, and did something that no one outside of these parts thought they could do. I know that had to do your heart proud as a Wolverine now. I'm curious, first of all, how did it hit you? How excited were you? And has that hatred of the Buckeyes, have you already sort of adopted that feeling?
Well, I will say, down here in Alcoa, Tennessee, there's a little group of us that knew that Michigan was going to pull it out, and I figured from the beginning. We've been outside of the second bye week. After that, we've been playing exceptional ball. We put 50 on Northwestern, so I had a feeling that we were going to come in and we were going to turn some heads for sure. Ohio State hadn't been playing that good, Anyways, and I felt everything was just coming together for us to perform the upset. Get everything. And sorry, I'm just a little tired. I've been doing homework all day. Got my Chromebook right here, but I thought everything was going to come together and we were going to win that football game. And then what was the second part of the question again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I said that, man. You adopted that hatred for the Buckeyes, man? It's like you got to have it.
Of course I have. Down here we take our rivalry very seriously. It's very similar to the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry. Like my school, during Maryville week, we crossed out all the M's. So it's a little bit of the same. And just being able to compete in something like that one day really, really fuels me. It really makes me want to be a Michigan Wolverine, especially when you get to take some punks from Ohio down.
There you go. You gotta love it. Gotta love it. Excited for you. Excited for you and your teammates. So give me the calendar for you, Eli. What comes next? When do you get to Ann Arbor? Lay it all out for me.
I'll get on campus like 2 weeks, maybe. I don't know what day exactly. I probably should figure that out. But it'll be like between the 15th and the 20th, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm. So you get the chance to practice with the team, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot to take in, but it's something I'm ready for and I'm willing to do. So.
How your parents doing, man? They ready for you to be away from home already?
Man, my mom, she's not taking it too lightly. It's weird. We've never been apart, but I think she knows I'm ready for it. I better be ready for it if I'm going 7 hours away. But no, I mean she's doing okay. I think she's finally glad she doesn't have to spend as much on food. But
right, somebody else has that bill now, right?
Exactly.
So Eli, hey man, like I said to Bobby, appreciate you. I know when you came up here, came by the studio, got you here on this show. Whenever we call you, you always show up, man. So we appreciate you. Can't wait to see you once you get here to Ann Arbor. Good luck the rest of the way, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Anytime, my man. Anytime.
All right, thanks a lot. Eli Owens, officially in the fold here with the Maize and Blue on the New Blue Signing Day show, brought to you by our friends at Champion Circle. We'll be telling you more about the New Blue campaign coming up here in about 8 minutes. Because as I've been saying, NIL in this day and age, really always, is not a spectator sport. We got to stop looking at it as a donor funded operation. Yes, big donors are a plus, are a necessity, but you cannot look at it as the only piece of the puzzle. Because if you do, is that a sustainable model? Can you rely on the same donors over and over again in perpetuity to fund the operation? That is not a sustainable model. NIL is not a spectator sport. And this is where fans, all of you watching right now, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, all of you on our channels, appreciate all of your support. 500,000 strong on Facebook, over 90,000 strong on Twitter, 30,000 strong on YouTube. We appreciate all your love. But the NIL piece of the puzzle for Michigan, if you want it to perpetuate, telling you, that is a participatory thing. These recruiting classes, these recruiting cycles, you want them to continue. That's a participatory thing. So we're going to be telling you more and more about it in the hours to come as we have more great guests on the horizon. We're going to be talking to Michigan head football coach Sherrone Moore. Coming up, I want to say at about, I think the schedule says at about 4:25. Before Coach Moore comes on, his quarterback, QB1. Going to take some time. Big day for number 19. But he said, hey, I'm going to make some time. So QB1, Bryce Underwood, is going to come on before Coach Moore. He's going to spend a little time with us here on the New Blue Signing Day show. We're going to hear from Elijah Dotson. He's going to come here in studio. We're going to talk to Andrew Babalola. We're going to talk to Andrew Marsh. We might have a special guest coming up in the next hour. We'll see if that happens as well. We might have some surprises here and there, to and fro. So just stay with us as we bring you more news and more guests throughout the day here on the New Blue Signing Day show. Already in the fold, I guess the one announcement today was Travis Moten. You had to know that one was coming down because we had the crystal balls going. That was one. If you talk about senior evals, we've been talking about Lou Esposito. Lou Esposito, when he was at Western Michigan, this was one of the things that he was known for. Like, he was finding guys at Western that were pros, guys that went on to places like Florida State and became like second round draft picks. So if he was doing senior eval guys at Western, imagine what that's going to mean at a place like Michigan when senior evals uncover guys like Travis Moten and Benny Patterson, for instance. So again, you might look at the rankings and I don't know what that really means. I know the first time I saw a young man named Mason Graham was freshly off of a commitment to Boise State. Fresh off a commitment to Boise State. And so I got to give my man Courtney Moore, I got to give Big Court some, give him some credit. He's like, hey, I got one out in Cali. He was committed to Boise. I said, Boise State? Come on, Court. He's like, man, quit paying attention to these rankings. These rankings I don't pay attention to those rankings. Man, I went out to see this dude. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. He played every snap at defensive tackle, every snap at offensive tackle, and special teams the whole game. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it was unbelievable. The motor on this dude. I've never seen anything like it. And watched that and said, this dude is an animal. There's no way this guy, how in California, that was what was so amazing about that. Like, how does a guy like that in California, in Los Angeles, this isn't even like backwoods Cali. How does a dude like that in California go overlooked? So if a dude like that in California can go overlooked, surely there are diamonds in the rough all over the country that can go overlooked, right? Let's bring our next guest on before we start things up at 3 o'clock on the New Blue Signing Day show. And we start the program. We're going to introduce our next guest and then we'll start the program because this is a special one for me. Let's bring him up. Producer Ben, can you bring him up on the screen real quick? Because the first time I saw this young man, it was at a camp, I want to say, up at Ferris State. It was between his 8th and 9th grade year. And I'm watching him. Now, he was baby-faced, but as far as his athleticism and his body, yeah, he was beasting guys 2 and 3 years his senior. And I'm watching like, man, this dude is impressive. Wow, he's going to be outstanding. It's like, yeah, he's going to be a freshman at CC. So I was like, okay, he's cool. Man, he's going to be big time. Let me find out who he is. And then I heard his name was Strayhorn. And then, okay, I still watching. I was like, oh, Strayhorn, that sounds familiar. And then they said Strayhorn related to Jason Strayhorn. I was like, oh man, there's no way Michigan's gonna be in on that one, right? You talk to him, you talk to his dad, and they said no, his recruitment is gonna be open. And sure enough, it was. Talking about Kaden Strayhorn, one of the best linemen in the country, and committed to the University of Michigan. Kaden, congratulations on officially becoming a Wolverine. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great, man. Glad that you could join us. And I don't know if you remember that sort of coming out party,
Yeah.
but I mean, do you remember what people were saying? Because everyone just assumed you were going to Michigan State. Did you feel like people kind of had that preconceived notion and wouldn't let you shake it?
Yeah, I mean, especially just because my name, I thought a lot of people did think that. But my dad would always tell people, like they told you, like I was very open to any school, regardless of like a rivalry, because of my dad and anything like that. And so, um, yeah, that was like it played a big role in my recruitment for sure.
So when was it that you said that I am really open to Michigan? Because regardless of recruitment being open, if you grow up the son of a Spartan, there has to be a part of you that says, I don't know how much I like Michigan. So you had to shake that at some point. What was that point?
I would say probably just seeing when I saw Coach Moore's success as the offensive line coach, I really, really like had an interest in him as a coach, and like I got really close with him, and we would talk a lot and everything. And then obviously last year I wasn't sure if he was going to stay or not, because I thought he would probably go with Coach Harbaugh to the NFL and be his O-line coach for like the Chargers, obviously. And then he would tell me like, no, I'm not going anywhere and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, he has to say that, he's still hired at Michigan. He has to say that. And then I was thinking like, because I went to that Ohio State game last year when he was the head coach and like he fit perfectly. And I was thinking like, if he's the head coach, why would I not go to Michigan? So like, that's what I tell people. I'd be like, I think he's going to leave, but if he stays, I don't see why I wouldn't go there. And I mean, since he stayed in touch with me every day. And then that's where I'm going now because of that. So.
All right. So let's take a pause for a second. We'll come back to Kaden. Producer Ben, I need the shot. Give me the shot. Give me the solo. All right. Solo screen. Because it is time to start the program. The New Blue Signing Day show brought to you by the Champion Circle. Now, Champion Circle, the NIL collective that is dedicated to providing for student athletes in mass at the University of Michigan. When you consider the effort that they have put in over the years for fundraising for all student athletes, they have no peer. It has been, I think, an undertaking that you have seen major benefactors be dedicated to. Champion Circle and Valiant are responsible for booking over $30 million in NIL opportunities for student athletes at Michigan since 2021. $30 million. That is outstanding. And so when you talk about NIL initiatives, what we used to call true NIL initiatives, is they've been doing it for a while. Now, what we know to be true NIL now is different, right? That definition has expanded, and it now encompasses what other programs had been doing, right? Okay, so now Champion Circle does that too. Okay, and so that allows Michigan to compete on a more level playing field and to go out and command recruiting classes that are on par with the best recruiting classes in the country. Recruiting classes like the one that Michigan has right now, like the one that we are celebrating on this show, the New Blue Signing Day show, brought to you by Champion Circle. So we're going to be telling you about an effort, about an initiative that you can support. You see it on the bottom of your screen. Support the New Blue campaign and Team 146. All right. There's a link that you can go to where you can contribute to the effort. NIL is participatory, people. You cannot rely on donors to fund this effort in perpetuity. This is not something that is sustainable. If you think it's going to be this thing where you can sit back and expect someone else to do it year after year after year, you're going to be disappointed. That is not sustainable. This is where we come in. This is where you come in. So if you're watching and you like to see Michigan getting these big time student athletes, you like to see them competing with the top programs in the country, this is how you help ensure that future. This is how you help make sure that Michigan continues to be among the leaders and best. No, to be the leaders and best, right? So, Champion Circle is when you talk about leading the way in NIL initiatives, they are leaders and best. Now, if you want to, if you're listening, the easy way to do it, if you're listening right now, and you're driving around, I know this is going to be something people are listening to on the radio. The easy way to do it, championscircleufm.com. All right. Championscircleufm.com. It's an easy way to do it. If you're watching, you see the link on the screen right now. Go to that link, help drive up that number. Let's make sure that Michigan stays in the place that they are now, competing at the level that they are now. This is how you do it. All right. The New Blue campaign is how you help do that. So keep that number going, keep that number growing. We're going to keep bringing on throughout the day more student athletes. Like I said, we have Kaden on right now. Let's go back to Kaden Strayhorn. Let's bring Kaden back to the screen real quick. Producer Ben. All right. So, Kaden, what was it about Michigan that made you know that you wanted to be a Wolverine? There was some point where you said, because you had a lot of options, but you decided that Michigan was a place for you. When was that and why was that?
I would say it was probably like I knew for sure the week leading in to my official visit, that I knew I was going to commit on the visit. And it was because of the people, the culture, and the coaching staff. I would say Coach Newsome and Coach Moore are outstanding. I don't think there's anybody better. I think Coach Newsome, I think very highly of him as an offensive line coach. And then Coach Moore, I think he was the best offensive line coach on the market, and then now he's our head coach. So what better can I ask for as an offensive lineman? And I see guys from IMG like Cesar Ruiz, and that's the player that I look up to. We have similar body types, like very similar, almost the same. And so for me to be able to like see somebody that's like me that comes from my high school, go to Michigan and do it, it's something that really makes me want to go do it, and that's what I want to do. I want to be just like them. And then also just the support that I get from the state of Michigan, being there, being a Michigan kid. I couldn't ask for a better supporting fan base or anything like that around me. And then all my family is there still as well. So that's the main thing I'll say for sure.
So for people who haven't seen you play, Kaden, break down your game. Tell them what they'll see when they watch Kaden Strayhorn on the football field.
I'm nasty. I'm quick. I'm a center, but I played tackle at IMG, and so I mean, for me to be able to play tackle here, being a center body, is it speaks volumes. I think. I mean, I blocked 5 stars all year. Guys like Jay Van Hilson, I had 0 sacks, and I'm nasty. I finish people, and I have a motor. So, you will see that on film for sure.
Yes, sir. It is one of those things where, you listen to your voice, soft spoken, but I like to say, don't let the smooth taste fool you, right? It sounds
Yeah.
like or I can see it, but you got that flip that you switch, right? I know you get on the field, it's totally different.
Yes, sir. Two different people. Yeah.
And it feels like the whole class, because Avery is kind of a soft-spoken guy, but he flips that switch.
Right.
Andrew Babalola, same thing. It's like you guys are similar temperament as far as how you speak, but when we watch you, all you guys have that kind of brawler type mentality. Have you kind of noticed that as well?
Yes, sir. I think we're all very alike. That's why I think all three of us mold very well. And Ty Haywood is a kid that I'm working on. I'm trying to get him, and I think he would mold us perfectly too. So that would be our fourth. I really like him a lot. I want to get him here, and he's not signing early, so we have a good shot.
Okay. All right. Well, one guy that your current team, your Wolverines, just picked up is Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng. So
Yes, sir.
you got a chance to block him some. So what
Right.
what are the Wolverines getting in Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng?
Wu's IQ is through the roof for the game. Wu is very smart. He watches film. He could tell you what we're gonna run before he run it. Wu is very smart. Obviously, he was injured, so you guys didn't get to really see that this year. But if you watch his junior film, it looks just like a senior would play, if that makes sense. Like he's a true 5 star player, and I think very highly of Wu. I've been working on Wu for the longest time, so I'm very happy about his commitment, and I'm just happy for his family and everything. And I'm really excited to just get up there with him and keep being teammates until it's time for us to be done in Michigan. But I'm really looking forward to it.
All right. And then another teammate, Donovan Johnson, a tailback who is one of the freakiest athletes in the country.
Right.
Tell your Wolverine fans what they're getting in Donovan Johnson.
Donovan Johnson is an extremely hard worker. He came back from an injury, and so for him to come back from that fully healthy, I mean, this kid, he's have you seen him? He's a freak athlete. He looks crazy. We all call him, Iron Man around here because he's all pumped up. His body's crazy, and his work ethic is insane. He's going to fix any like on field issues immediately. He knows he's a student of the game. He's a true student of the game, and so we were roommates when he first came here since freshman year, so I'm really excited for him to come as well.
Well, Kaden, it has been our pleasure to have you on. Before you go, want to give you an opportunity to shout out your circle, your support system. I see you doing so on your tweets. Your family have been, it's been clearly your rock, your structure that has helped you along your path. So how important has that been for you, and how important will that be for you moving forward? Kind of talk about your support.
That's super important for me, especially, I think I couldn't ask for a better dad, especially because, he could have been one of those dads that's like, oh, you can't go to Michigan or you can't go here just because he went to Michigan State, and he's never been like that. He's super supportive, and I couldn't ask for a more supportive system. And my mom, she's always, doing everything that she can for me and everything. And then my little brother is at IMG now, and he's on my team, and I got an opportunity to play with him for a year. He was a freshman. He's a freshman now. And my little sister as well. I mean, those are my rocks. So, and then my grandparents and the rest of my family as well. It's just, I couldn't ask for a better family. So I'm really, really thankful for them, all of them.
Well, Kaden, congratulations on officially becoming a Wolverine. Thanks a lot for taking time out of your special day. When do you get to Ann Arbor, and when can we expect to see you?
I'm going to be enrolling December 21st. Yes, sir.
All right, so you get a chance to practice with the team.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, congratulations, and we'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. See you soon.
All right, thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Kaden Strayhorn, officially in the fold. One of the new blue, Team 146. The new blue signing day show brought to you by Champion Circle. Listen, folks, I'm going to say it again. Not a spectator sport. NIL. You want Michigan? What are we up to? Hey, Bryce, can you look and see where Michigan is in the rankings now? With Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng in the fold, 4-star linebacker, beat out Colorado. And this, by the way, Brian Jean-Marie, BJ, shout out to BJ. That was a tough one. That was a tough recruitment. Telling you. He had to tussle for that one. That was, I thought he was going to get him in the summer. First, I thought he was going to get him in the spring. Then I thought he was going to get him in the summer. It was a tough one. And then he came for the Oregon game. I thought he was going to get him then. And then he went on a visit to Colorado. That was a hell of a recruitment. Got it done. And so that was a big land for Michigan on the heels of getting Nate Marshall yesterday. So at last check, Michigan had moved up to number, 6 in the rankings? And so we'll see where they are now as we are in the first hour of the new blue signing day show brought to you by Champion Circle. And Champion Circle, you heard the numbers earlier, $30 million in NIL opportunities for Michigan student athletes since 2021. That's a fantastic level of support, but it's getting stronger. You do not land a player the magnitude of a Bryce Underwood without this kind of support. Now let's put this into some perspective, because there was a lot, I think, that was put out there falsely about that recruitment. I think what was so special about what Champion Circle was able to do in that recruitment is they were able to fundraise to a level where it was clear that in his recruitment he could say, all right, I can make my decision be based on the other factors, because none of these schools aren't gonna beat Champion Circle on this. It's not gonna be about the money. Champion Circle was able to accomplish that. So he could make his decision not be about the money. So much of what was written has been said, it's like, oh, he made his decision about money. What Champion Circle was able to do is they were able to say, okay, we're going to take money out of the equation for you. We're going to say, they aren't going to beat us on that. That's a boss move. And you got to have an awesome level of support to be able to do that. Now, when you talk about the tremendous benefactors they have, that is great, but it's not to be taken for granted. I mean, it's to be celebrated by fans, which, a lot of celebration, a lot of joy, and it's great, but not to be taken for granted. And what do I mean by that? Not to be sit back and say, hey, yay, that's great, and not contribute yourself. That's where the New Blue campaign comes in. This is how you can help. This is how you can contribute. This is how you can participate and make sure that this kind of recruiting can perpetuate. So you can see that link scrolling across the screen right now. The New Blue campaign and Team 146. Click that link. Hit it right now. It could be $5. It could be 10. It could be whatever you can spare. But see, it all adds up. And it all goes towards maintaining the level of success that Michigan has achieved and wants to continue to achieve. Because you can't continue to rely just on benefactors, right? This is where you come in. This is where you help out. Right? And so we're going to talk to Bryce Underwood coming up at about 4:20. He has his ceremony at 5 o'clock. You know, it was tough because the show goes until 5 o'clock. So can you go let Elijah in? Bryce, can you go let Elijah in? Oh, there he is right there. All right. So Elijah Dotson and Bryce Underwood have their, oh, that's my son. That ain't Elijah. I got him mixed up. My bad. Man, I looked up on the screen for the Ohio State game, and at the opening sort of montage for the Ohio State game, the camera pans and it's this guy opening his coat, and it's like Michigan, or it says Go Blue, and it's my kid on the screen. I was like, hey man, that's my son. I'm on national TV. I was like, oh man, hey, did he get some? Does he get some royalties for that, or do I get some royalties for that? I mean, come on, man. But anyway, I digress. But his their ceremonies at 5 o'clock. Well, the show goes till 5 o'clock. Hey man, how are we gonna pull this off? How are we gonna cover that and do this too? So my man, our Bryce Marich is gonna be over there. Alejandro Zuniga is gonna be over there. But how are we gonna pull it off where we get them on here and cover that as well? It's like, we got y'all. Elijah Dotson said, I'll come over there. I'll come over to you guys. So Elijah Dotson coming live in studio. Bryce was like, got y'all. First of all, my man, I've known his agent for 20 years. So Brandon, I can say it. That's my man, Chach. I used to go get mad as I called him that. I was like, Chach, hey man, can we get Bryce? Got you. So he's gonna come on before Sherrone. And so we're gonna make it happen. And we're gonna get him on for you. New Blue Signing Day show. That's how we get down. Okay. You know what? If you could make an offensive lineman a street fighter, it would be this guy. If an offensive lineman was a bare knuckles fighter, it would be this guy. If UFC had an offensive lineman, it would be this dude. It would be this guy. Man, I swear, if I'm a coach and I'm teaching a guy to play till the whistle, like to the end of the whistle, Avery Gach is the guy that I'm talking about. And I'm talking about to the end of the whistle. You know how some coaches say play to the whistle? No, play to the end of the whistle. That's Avery. Avery, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Did I describe you accurately, Avery?
Yeah, I like that description.
The pride of Birmingham Groves, man. A guy that we've been watching for years and have seen you grow up. I remember the first time I watched you, you were actually coming off of an injury and chomping at the bit to get back on the football field, and they were having to tell you, hey, listen, you got to heal all the way up before you get back out there, because you were trying to get back out on the field as soon as possible. And that's what I like about you, man. Just the tenaciousness. That is what drives you. Let's talk about the switch you have, because you're a soft smoking guy off the field, but an animal on the field. What about that switch you have?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you have to have that as an offensive lineman. A lot of people are always surprised, like when they hear me off the field, they don't know I play football. They're like, "Oh, you're such a nice guy off the field," but when I get on the field, it's a different story. I try to flip the switch. Something inside of me just it says go time, and I just switch and I become nasty. So.
Yeah, man. It nasty is a good way to put it. And look, I know, let me be clear when I talk about the description of Avery. It's not a penalty. I said play to the end of the whistle. I didn't say after the whistle. I just said, push it as long as you can without picking up a penalty. That's what I'm talking about. I like to see a little nastiness and a little edge. And that's what seems to be the theme of this offensive line class, Avery. It's evident in Kaden. It's evident in Babs. I mean, did you see that in the other guys too? Because it feels like the whole crew plays that way.
Yeah, and I'm excited to play with all those guys because it's just gonna be really fun. All of us are nasty, all of us are physical players, and I guess that's just what Coach Newsome likes. He must be recruiting all those guys. So.
It felt like watching you in your recruitment because you had everyone. You had
Yep.
everyone. O State. O State was in there. I know your parents' alma mater, Michigan State, was in there too, right? But there was a time where I know you were nervous about, hey, is Coach Moore going to be here? Because there were other schools that were trying to get him as a head coach. You didn't know if was Coach Harbaugh going to leave or stay, and if he left, would Coach Moore get the job? And so that kind of made you nervous. How did you navigate that? And what about your relationship with Coach Moore? Because it felt like that was the key, that was pivotal in your decision to become a Wolverine.
Right. I feel like they were very transparent throughout the whole process of when they were switching over head coaches and O-line coaches. I was a bit nervous about who's going to be the next guy who's going to be coaching me because I wanted to know, right? It's a big deal. So, but when it happened, when they moved Coach Moore over to head coach from O-line coach and Coach Newsome in from tight end coach to O-line coach, I mean, that was the perfect fit for me just because I knew Coach Newsome from before. He was recruiting me a little bit, even though he was the tight ends coach. And right when he moved over, it just fit. Like, I love talking to Coach Newsome. I'm really excited for that, for him to coach me. And then with Coach Moore, he's an O-line guy. He takes pride in that stuff. So that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, man, you got the best of both worlds. You got the guy who you formed a relationship with becoming the head coach, right? That you bonded with, and then you got Coach Newsome, who was in there involved in your recruitment, becoming your position coach. So that you get the best of both worlds, and then you get a chance to room with guys who you really connected with. So, I mean, the first time I met you, well, I think you were with Bobby. So what about that? I mean, the bond that you have with Bobby and Eli, those are like your guys, man, that you've been in this class with forever. What about your bond and your connection with those two?
Yeah, for sure. Our connections are very strong. I would say I knew probably I don't know who I figured out who I knew first, but me and Eli and Bobby all have a very strong connection. I think it just comes from us being hard workers, to be honest, and loving football at the end of the day. I think that's why we connect the most. But, we're always texting. We have a group chat, we're staying in touch all the time. We just can't wait till we move in together, and it's going to be awesome. So.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be. Can't wait to see you guys all be able to make it up. So I gotta tell you, I couldn't help but think about guys like you who were considering Ohio State but chose Michigan when Michigan goes down there and pile drives those guys. Just physically beats up on them the way that they did and upsets them and does something no one thought they could do. How did that hit you? How excited were you to see Michigan do what no one thought they could do last week?
Oh, it was amazing. That feeling was great watching them ball out on national television, 4 years in a row. I remember being a recruit these past couple of years going to the game. And, I went to it when it was at the shoe. I went to it when it was at the big house. And, it's just great both times. I always joke around when I was in the shoe and watched Michigan beat Ohio State. I've never seen so many grown men cry. It's just, it's insane. That rivalry is so strong. And yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, man. It is fun. It is fun to see them cry. Buckeye tears. Nothing like it. Nothing like
Mm.
it, man. So I gotta ask, you choose Michigan in a house that was a Spartan house. How was that for you initially? You growing up with Spartan ties and having an allegiance or building an allegiance to Michigan. When did that switch flip for you?
Um, when I was younger, I could never see myself playing for Michigan or any other school than Michigan State, to be honest with you. But when I first got into the recruiting process, it flipped my mind completely. You really don't see, if you're not a recruit, you don't see how the program really works, and you don't see what's inside the building. And when I figured out what's inside the building at Michigan, it's just something special that I couldn't find anywhere else. The energy there, the enthusiasm, the coaching, the culture. It's just that really stole me. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Outstanding to see. And so speaking of your parents, it's been a joy to kind of watch it through. I've been obviously talking to Dave, your dad,
Yeah.
along the way, and so to watch it through his eyes and to see the journey has been a joy. But for you and the support that you've gotten from your family, what has that meant? The support that you've gotten, how important has that been? I want to give you an opportunity to shout them out.
Yeah, it's been huge. Everyone who supported me have been super supportive, especially the main people being my parents, my younger brother Eli, but especially my dad, because he loves college football. He's really helped me throughout this recruiting process. And my parents, my mom Amy, have been keeping me humble throughout the whole entire process. And I don't know what I would do without them, honestly, because at times it's been really stressful. Just with all these schools reaching out, all of a sudden my sophomore season, junior season, getting hit up from all the conferences, and that can be stressful, especially as a 17-year-old kid when you're just used to, going to school and playing ball. But then all these big time college programs are hitting you up, just saying you got to come down for a visit, all this stuff. So I would just shout out my parents, my younger brother, and my coaches at school for keeping me level headed and being where my feet are. So that's helped a lot that they've been there for me.
Well, Avery, like I said, it's been a real joy to watch your journey, to see you go on this ride and ultimately become a Wolverine. When do you get to Ann Arbor? Kind of lay out your calendar. What comes next for you?
Sure. We move in the 19th, and I'm getting there. I think Eli's getting there the same day. I think Bobby might be coming later. But we move in the 19th, and I think the first 2 days or so, we start with all the medical stuff. Got to get that out of the way. And then, I think I can start practicing right after that. And then, we go to the bowl game. I travel with them, stay on the sideline with all the other early enrollees. But I'm really excited to start practicing just because I miss football so much after the season ended. It's not the same really. So I'm excited to put pads and a helmet on again. I've been missing ball. So
All right, man. Well, can't wait to see you do your thing. Good luck. Get a chance to practice with the team. Proud of you, man, and congratulations. And we'll see you in a couple weeks.
yeah, thanks again for having me.
All right, Avery Gach. It has been exciting to see him on his journey. That was to give you some nastiness. I'm just partial to guys that give you some of that dog. I think you guys know that about me. You know, I like to see dudes that just like to get after it, that like to get a little nasty. And I might appreciate, an occasional personal foul. Nothing dirty. Just a little extra after the whistle, but not malicious. Not trying to put guys out the game, but just like a little extra after the whistle. That's all. That's occasionally, just to kind of leave a little message. Not to put the team in too bad a way. I'm not sorry, Coach Moore. He's about to come on. He's gonna be mad that I said something like that. But sometimes, man, you gotta send a little extra message. I just think. Anyway, let me get back on message here. Let me get back. It is violent. His film is exactly A Train. That's what I'm talking about. It is the good kind of violent. See, that's what I'm talking about. You get it. You get it. You understand. See, the people understand. That's what we need. We need some edge. We need some people to punch some people in the mouth. That's the kind of lineman Michigan just got in this class. We're punching some people in the mouth. Andrew Babalola is an animal. He is a basketball playing animal. You talk about biting kneecaps. Dan Campbell trying to get Andrew Babalola right now. Go watch his film. Natural born animal. Like, you listen to these dudes talk and you're like, man, there's no way. There's no way these dudes are out on the football field punking people. And then you go watch them. Hey, can you go check the door for me real quick and see if that's Elijah right there? There might be somebody trying to get in the door. I think that's Bryce trying to get him in. So check that out for me. Anyway, we have more guests coming here on the New Blue Signing Day show, brought to you by Champion Circle. Now, you've heard Champion Circle before. You've heard NIL. What you need to know is, let's quantify for a second. What does it mean? What have they done? How successful have they been? Some numbers. $30 million. Said it at the beginning of the show that since 2021, Champion Circle and Valiant responsible for $30 million in NIL opportunities. Thank you, producer. See, this is why you got to have producer Ben. This is why you shouldn't have me trying to produce the show and host the show at the same time, because I would mess this up. I wouldn't be able to put that on the screen at the same time. All right. So $30 million in NIL opportunities for Michigan student athletes since 2021. Now, Champion Circle has been able to, and Valiant, they've been able to generate this revenue in many different ways: crowdfunding, large donor gifts, which I know a lot of fans are really celebrating, and rightfully so. Celebrate the large donor gifts. Those are great and necessary. But that alone as the way to sustain a program or to drive NIL is not sustainable. Have to have multiple streams of support. And so online memberships, events, Champion Circle does all of these things, understanding that you can't just be the large donor gifts, that you have to do all of these things. And they have to engage you. Shows like this, right? The New Blue Signing Day show, brought to you by Champion Circle, to introduce you to many of the athletes that you're going to want to support, and to tell you about this campaign, the New Blue campaign, and Team 146. You want to support these student athletes? You want to support this team? This is how you do it. You see that link scrolling across the screen when I say this is a participatory thing, And so, Ben, can you take the link? I need you to take the link and put it in the chat. Take the link and put it in the chat, producer Ben. I'm going to take the link and I'm going to put it on Twitter while we get Elijah Dotson all mic'd up. My man Bryce Merritt is getting him mic'd up real quick. And I'm going to tell the people, support the New Blue campaign and Team 146 right here and help keep the recruiting classes at Michigan going like the one that they have right now. Bryce, did you see what was the ranking? It was 6. So they still, it's wound up at number 6 in the country. I tell you what, about a month ago, no one had them at 6. No one thought Michigan was going to be like that. Boy, a whole lot of y'all had talking a whole lot different about Michigan recruiting. Talking a whole lot different. Feeling a lot better now, right? Well, you want to keep feeling like this, you need to be supporting the New Blue campaign. Don't be on the sideline. Don't be a bystander. Participate. Support. And support doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a millionaire to support. You $1, $5, 10. I mean, there are different levels of support. Whatever you can spare, whatever you can contribute is enough. You don't have to pocket watch. You don't have to look over there and see what they're doing. Whatever you can do is enough. Just click the link and get involved. Let's drive the number up. Because whatever you're doing, it just needs to be more than what they're doing down there in Columbus, what they're doing down there in Baton Rouge. You just need to do more than them. And clearly you're doing more than them right now, right? Doing more than them. Let's keep doing more than them. So let me get this tweet out. You got him mic'd up, Bryce? He's all set. I first saw this next young man, I want to say, when was it, Bryce? We were at when we were at Reggie Wins' camp. Shout out to my man, Reg. Reggie Wins, my baby. He was like, hey, Webb, you got to come see my baby. Come see my baby. Like, okay, I'll come check him out. He was playing receiver at the time. Yeah. He's playing receiver, balled out at receiver. Balled out at receiver. So I thought the young brother was a receiver. And then they said, no, you got to come watch him at DB. It's like, okay, I'll watch him at DB. And you a D, balled out at DB. I was like, all right. Then I saw him pop up at Belleville, and he's doing it all. Killing dudes at DB. Knocking dudes out at DB. And then next thing you know, he's catching touchdowns. And I'm like, hey, man, I'm kind of thinking they need to throw this dude some more passes. He might need to go back to receiver. I'm talking about Elijah Dotson. Now, the one thing I feel bad about is there's a guy, and I almost shot him out just a little bit. He's feeling a little bad down at Pitt right now. This is my dude. I'm sorry. I mean, they got good dudes down at Pitt, right? They got good dudes down at Pitt too. Did a hell of a recruiting job. He did a hell of a recruit. Archie, I love Archie. He might be a Sparty, but I love Archie. He did a hell of a recruiting job. And take no shorts. It wasn't because Archie didn't recruit. He recruited his tail off. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's one of those deals where if Michigan gives you an opportunity, hey, it's kind of hard to say no. And that brings us to our next guest, who I think is one of the baddest ball players. People assign him a position. I just call him a ball player. From Belleville High School, Elijah Dotson. Elijah, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Man, congratulations on officially becoming a Wolverine.
Thank you.
Man, I know it wasn't easy to flip on Archie, man. So I mean, I do want to shout Archie out a little bit first, and because when you flip, a lot of people might think it's because of what the other school didn't do or something they did do. But it wasn't like that, because I know he did a hell of a job recruiting.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing. Like my parents, we made sure we told them that y'all didn't do anything wrong. It was just a better opportunity for me, school wise, academics, Michigan, top academics, in the country. And then being able to play for your hometown, it's nothing like that. So they didn't do anything wrong. Michigan was just the option for me.
I hear that, man. So when I watch you play, like I said, I describe you as a ball player.
Right.
And here's what I like. I call it contact courage. Contact courage, man, because you know, watching you on the field, I figure you might be 170,
175, 180. Yeah.
175. You play like 205.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're sticking your nose in there.
Yeah.
You know, it's you coming down like it's 205. They wouldn't know it. And so I appreciate that about you. Like you got that contact courage. So where does that come from? Who does that come from?
I say it come from my dad. My dad played linebacker in college for Bowling Green. Y'all run the tape, y'all. See, he was knocking people out, but yeah, hitting is a mentality. So, you know, people look at me and be like, "Oh, he not that big, he can't hit." But once I come downhill, it's hard to break a tackle for me. So, yeah, it's really just a mentality for me. I like to hit. You know, a lot of people don't like to hit even in the college level. So I can cover and I can hit. When I see the ball carrier, you know, I'm always looking to hit somebody.
So the other thing that I like is safety, nickel, corner, receiver. Like I said, man, it seems like every time I watch you play receiver, you're catching a touchdown.
Yeah.
So it's all of these different positions. And that's what stuck out to me. I was like, man, well, if I'm recruiting you, I'm almost telling you, hey, man, I'm not recruiting you at a position. I'm recruiting you as a ball player, and then I figure it out. I don't know what Michigan said to you, but that's what I would have said.
Yeah.
What did they say? What did they say?
They said they're gonna start me off on defense. I mean, on at safety. So they're gonna start me off at safety. That's how I can play anywhere in the secondary though. But they like my range, and they feel like that's the missing piece to their defense, safety wise. Like the range, you know, Rod Moore is out, and then you know it's some other people, but just my range. They said they didn't have that, and that's kind of what they was looking for. And you know, I got that sideline to sideline range. So. Yeah, that was the biggest thing. But they was like, we're gonna start you off at safety, and then you can really play anywhere in the secondary. And then you know maybe offense, maybe not this year, but maybe in a couple years.
Yeah, hey man, listen, if you can do it though,
if I can do it, why not?
Why not? Right? Yeah, you shown you could do it because that was the other thing. I was like, I mean, they kind of need the help. that was kind of what I was like.
Yeah, I don't got no problem playing receiver. I mean, I'll go get the ball. So.
Right, and you kind of have a little vibe with the quarterback now, right?
Yeah, we played the whole season together. So.
You know, so that was the thing. So when did you first start to be like, you know, yeah, Michigan? Because they were kind of hovering, but it wasn't always like you were.
It wasn't
listening.
Always.
Yeah.
So I was committed to Pitt. I was good, and then Michigan started coming in, and you know I had just committed. I'm like, okay, I just want to stay committed. I'm good. So my dad kept telling me like you have to look at your other options. It's a business. You never know what's gonna happen. So I'm like, okay. So we declined going to the barbecue because they weren't really recruiting me that much. Then moving forward, they kept pushing. They came to our little showcase, you know, the college showcase, and you know, I had a great showcase. Coach Bellamy went back to DB coach. They started to put the pressure on. They never technically re-offered me. They said they didn't want to re-offer me because they didn't want to seem like they never wanted me. So they just kept, you know, applying the pressure. And then like, okay, come visit. I came and visit. I liked it. Then I came back again. Then I came on my official. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is the place for me. You know, I decided to make that call. Let them know that I was decommitted, and you know, help build the class.
There you go, man. And so you decided to go blue.
Yep.
Part of that, you know, you got to connect with the guy who would be your position coach. So what about the vibe with Coach Morgan, man? What do you think of Coach Lamar?
Morgan, he a great man. Like outside of a coach, you know, when you go to college, you still a young man, and you need that role model for you still, like just to be able to teach you certain things. So you know, outside of a football coach, he a great man. So, and then you know, just being a coach, you know, great coach. You see how he coaches them. He lets you make your mistakes, but he still is gonna correct it. But he's not gonna yell at you and pull you out because you made a mistake. He lets you learn from your own mistakes. So that's something I liked about Coach Morgan. Yeah, he's a great coach and a great man.
Yeah, and so you know, you get in the fold, and immediately you start recruiting.
Yeah.
But the one you start recruiting the most is the dude you playing with, 19.
He right next to me.
So. Right next to you, man. So
every day.
I mean, I'm sure you kind of had an idea
Yeah.
of what was happening, what was going down, but when he officially said it's going down, what did you think? How did you feel?
I'm like, yeah, this perfect. We gonna, you know, let's take it over. We'll take it over, and yeah, it was exciting. You know, we only got to play together for a year, so for us to continue and build our legacy together going to Michigan, it was nothing better than to hear that.
So you got a chance to play with him for a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Everyone sees the physical
see the-
talent. They see the
yeah,
physical
right.
talent, but you got a chance to see him, the guy, the
Yeah.
dude, the
Yeah.
leader.
Yeah.
Take folks inside of what is he like as a teammate? What is he
Yeah.
like as a leader?
You know, he's a great teammate. I say the biggest thing about him, he's one of the people that I like to be around people that are like me, that like to work and like to put the work in. As soon as I got to Belleville, we were working out together every day, 2-3 times a day. So you know, that was a big thing for me. I'm like, okay, he's not just naturally gifted, he works hard too. So we got to work hard together all the time. You know, we going to hills and running hills. Like, you know, people wasn't really doing that. That's why we the players we are now. He always ready to work. Hey Bryce, you trying to work out? Oh yeah, where we at? Oh, he asked me, you know, we there. So, you know, just being able to be around somebody like that, it was great. And then, you know, in practice sprints, me and him always first and second, first and second, first and second every time. So yeah, somebody be able to push me. And then just on the defensive side, he's playing quarterback. I have to be that much better of a defensive back because I know he's gonna put the ball on the money. So I know I got to be right there. I know how to get my head around. I know I got to play through the hands because he's gonna put it right on the money. And then, you know, for him playing against the Division I DB, he knows he got to put the ball here. So we start trying to figure each other out. You know, he had a one up on me one time. I had a one up on him. But yeah, you know, outside of being a football player, he's a great person. Somebody I like to hang around. You know, we talk all the time. We try to, you know, not talk as much about like recruiting and football. We just talk about like life things. So yeah.
Speaking of life things, man, you don't get to this point. All right, you've been shouting out your dad a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, getting you all around camps,
Yeah.
recruiting, the whole nine. You know, the family support
Yeah.
is what it's about.
Yeah.
You obviously have it.
Yeah.
What about that piece of it?
Yeah, you know, I gotta shout my mom out too. My mom is a physical therapist, so she always been getting me right, making sure I'm stretching. She like, I used to be really tight. She like, if you don't stretch, you're gonna tear something. I'm like, okay. So I started stretching a lot, you know, going into my sophomore year. And then, you know, my dad on the strengthening part and he knows what it takes to get there. He knows the reason he didn't get to the league. So he makes sure, you know, he's always there for me, on and off the field. He was my coach at one point, but you know, we stepped away from that because, you know, you don't want to ruin the relationship, like father and son relationship. You know, because after practice, you ain't do something right, then y'all arguing. He want to be the dad, so he kind of stepped out of that role of being my coach and just was more my dad, and then correct me when I want to be corrected because he know I got the coaches to do that. Yeah, they put me in a position to be successful. You know, being at the schools I was at, and yeah, so you know, we moved all the way, had to move all the way to Belleville just for me to play. You know, so they sacrificed a lot, and you know, obviously I'm gonna get back to them, but yeah, my people was pushing me a lot.
Yeah, man, I know you got an announcement to get to. I mean, or a ceremony to get to. Before you go, we talked about Coach Morgan. What about Coach Moore, man? Just
Yeah.
you know, the guy who you're going to play for now, your head coach.
Yeah.
The vibe with him, the connection with him. What about Coach Moore?
Yeah, you know, Coach Moore, he's a great coach. You know, he was another person that's like, man, build this legacy, stay home. And he was just, you know, pushing for that. And a lot of people hate on him, but he's really a great coach. And they'll see that over these next couple of years. His motto recently has been run with us or run from us. And everybody's gonna be running from us with this class. So yeah, Coach Moore is a great coach.
Yeah, well, Elijah, man, I can't wait. I can't wait, man. Been talking you up as the most underrated player in this class.
Yeah.
And so, man, I done stake my claim. I done slid my chips to the middle of the table on you. So, you know, make me look good.
You know,
you know. So good luck.
Like,
Congratulations on becoming a Wolverine. Lay out the calendar. What comes next? When do you get to Ann Arbor? What does it look like for you?
So I'll be getting on campus in the next couple of weeks, and then, you know, I don't know the exact date yet. You know, still trying to figure all of that out, but I'll be there early, and then, you know, we right to work. So
all right. Well, go have fun, man.
All right.
Congratulations on
Thank
becoming a Wolverine. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot. Elijah Dotson, officially a Wolverine ball player. Start out as safety, nickel. I think he could, I mean, you could give him a shot at corner. It was an interesting sort of way or into the recruiting cycle to kind of see where they're going to be able to close it out and maybe add a corner type at the end, and weren't quite able to do that. But you got a super versatile kid in Elijah, and I just think, what is he, 118, 120 in the rankings, and I think he's underrated. He and Andrew Marsh, and Andrew are going to come on. You look at them and they're inside the top 247, inside the 125, and I just think they're underrated. I'll tell you when I think guys are overrated too. I mean, I have no problem with saying that. If I disagree with the rankings or I disagree with the eval, even if it's 24/7, I'll tell you. And I think they missed the boat on those two. I think they missed the boat. I think that dude is an absolute ball player. Ball player. He just needs to add some weight. Like 170. I think 170 is kind of like 170, 175. You put 20 pounds on him, cancel Christmas. He just needs to add some weight. College strength and conditioning program for him, it's over. It's over. Bryce Lover, and I'm talking about our Bryce. I'm about to shoot you a number. I need you to call this young man and see what the deal is. See what the deal is as far as his timing, because we are on a tight schedule. We got Coach Sherrone Moore coming up. We got Bryce Underwood coming up. We got Andrew Marsh coming up. We got Andrew Babalola coming up. And all those guys are on a super tight schedule. So I want to try to squeeze another dude in before we get to them. Right? I want to try to make it happen. I want to try to treat the people. And so I need my guy, Bryce Marriage, who is Johnny on the spot and who has to make it over to that ceremony. So call that number that I just sent you and see if you can make that happen. Bryce Lover. Folks, the New Blue Signing Day show brought to you by Champion Circle, who, when you consider the job that they have done when it comes to NIL fundraising for the athletic department, they have no peer. There are other great, I don't want to shortchange collectives. There are great collectives across the board, so I don't want to minimize the efforts of others, as there are great collectives across the board. But when it comes to the magnitude of the work that Champion Circle has done, they're peerless when it comes to the magnitude of the work that they've done across the board. And so where they are trying to go, that requires your participation as well. Certainly have great benefactors when it comes to large donors, but sustainability is about you. The fan donation, the crowdfunding, I call it the rank and file, the folks who pack the stadium, sort of packing the NIL as well. That's how you achieve sustainability, where you have not just one revenue source, but multiple streams, sort of driving revenue. And so this campaign is a part of that initiative, the New Blue campaign. So you see it scrolling across the screen. That's not just filler. That's not just to, make it look busy. That is a call to action. And really, producer Ben, if you're gonna put it on the screen, don't put that one on the screen. That's just put the one that's scrolling across the bottom on the screen. The one that's scrolling across the bottom, put that one on the screen. For folks who are listening, to make it easier for the folks listening, ChampionCircleUofM.com. That's what that one is for. It's just easier for them to remember. But folks who are watching, yeah, you can go right to the New Blue campaign website and start driving up that number. So you can help make recruiting classes like this regular, because look, I can show you the difference. I can show you the difference. It is very easy to see. All right. So here's the difference. Look at this recruiting class, the 2025 recruiting class, and look at the last two recruiting classes of the Jim Harbaugh era. This is not a criticism. This is an observation. Look at this recruiting class and the last two recruiting classes of the Jim Harbaugh era. And what this is an exercise in the difference that NIL makes, NIL's role in recruiting. And so now that NIL can legally be used to supplement recruiting, which allows Michigan to participate, versus when NIL was creatively used, we'll put it that way, when NIL was creatively used in other places to supplement recruiting in ways that Michigan wasn't doing, well, you see the difference. Michigan wasn't having top 10 recruiting classes. Michigan wasn't having top 20 recruiting classes for that matter. Go check the rankings. So you want to stay in this realm, you want to stay in this place. And there are other factors. I mean, I said, as we've sort of talked about this on shows, you had the more serious dalliance that Jim had with the NFL. It was certainly more serious than past years, mind you. That's a factor, not to be mistaken here, but the bigger factor, the more significant factor, was they were getting down in NIL. Some places really getting down in ways that were beyond creative. Now, some people, some states were, they had state laws that were used to circumvent NIL rules, right? And that was legal. The state of Michigan wasn't creating laws to circumvent NIL rules, so you're stuck. And Michigan was at a deficit recruiting wise. Well, now that NIL you're able to legally use it to supplement your recruiting, to help fund your recruiting. Well, now the playing field is level, and you got SEC schools say, wait a minute, this is unfair. Michigan can compete in NIL. Michigan has too much money. How about that? Michigan has too much money. We can't compete. You want them to keep saying that? You want them to keep saying Michigan, we can't compete with Michigan? New Blue campaign. This allows you to do that. Campaigns like this through Champion Circle. If you're listening, ChampionCircleUofM.com. Of course, you see the scroll across the bottom. You help drive the numbers up. Help get recruiting classes like the one that they have now is number 6 in the country. The most recent addition, Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng. What do you say? Wait a minute, Moore is a great recruiter. I can't disagree. I mean, you could check his record. I mean, he could have quit recruiting with Dax Hill. That's some of the biggest time recruiting I've ever seen. You recruit Dax Hill, you lose Dax Hill. He goes to Alabama. He calls up that night and he's like, I think I made a mistake. He's, don't worry, man. We here if you want to come back. Don't panic. Don't criticize. Don't snipe. Don't gripe like you see a lot of coaches do. You know, just get all over a kid. I've seen coaches do that. I've heard coaches do that. He didn't do that with Dax. I remember talking to his mom and dad about it, and it's like that was one of the ways in which they knew, one of the reasons they knew he made a mistake. Was Sherrone's response in that moment. It was like, hey, wow, for him to take that news the way he took it, this was the wrong choice. And flipped him back. Rarely do you see a dude flip away and flip back the way you saw Dax do, or the way you just saw Nate Marshall do. That's some recruiting for your behind. That's some recruiting for your behind right there. So, but at the same time, let's be real. You don't do that without great support. So he could be a great recruiter. If you don't have great support behind you, then you're stuck. You're stuck like Chuck. So you want to build the next great class? That is right. That is right. Who put that message up on the screen? Is that Lance? Lance, look at Lance. Look at Lance. You would have thought I wrote that. You would have thought I wrote that. I didn't even write that. Help build the next great recruiting class at Michigan. Give today. I didn't even write that. That's fantastic. I like that. Producer Ben, did you write that? Producer Ben. Give Producer Ben credit. Champion Circle about to try to hire you away from me, man. How about that? That's big time over there. Champion Circle, you can't have Producer Ben. You can't have Producer Ben. Producer Ben has to stay. All right. The new Blue Signing Day show brought to you by Champion Circle. We have some great guests coming up this hour. Let me retweet it for the people who don't know, who might just be now joining us, as we are now, about 11,000 strong on the show, almost 12,000 strong on the show. All right, we need to get, come on, tell your friends all about it. We need to be up higher than 12,000 on the show. We need to be up near 20,000. We need to be up higher than 12,000 people. Let's go. Let's get it going, because we're about to have Bryce Underwood coming up on the show here in about 15 minutes. In about 15 minutes, we're going to have number 19 ready to join us. We're going to have Sherrone Moore joining us on the show as well. We have Andrew Marsh set to join. Speaking of recruiting, let's shout Ron Bellamy out for a minute. I think outside of the job they did on Bryce, because that was some hellified recruiting. And Bryce Underwood recruitment is hands down. I mean, you talk about the best recruiting jobs in the history of Michigan football. I mean, that's up there. Is number one. I mean, it's up there without question. To flip him like they did. Oh, whoa. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Let's go ahead and get hot off the press. Hot off the press. See, this is what we do on the New Blue Signing Day show, brought to you by Champion Circle. Let's squeeze the young brother in. The newest pledge to the University of Michigan. Woos is in the house. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Coach BJ been working on this one since he was back at Tennessee. He came up to Michigan and said, I got to bring this young brother with me because I need a head buster. I need to get this young fella roaming the middle for me. And he said, okay, coach, I'm going to give it a look because you there. You know, I was looking before, but I'm going to look harder now. And he gave it a look and he said, okay, it looks a lot better now. He came in the spring. He came in the summer. He came back in the fall. And he said, okay, coach, Michigan is home. And he committed to the University of Michigan. I'm talking about Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng, officially a Michigan Wolverine. Mr. Boateng, congratulations on officially becoming a Wolverine. How are you?
You said thank you. I'm good. I'm good. Thank
All
you.
right, man. So tell us, what was it that officially made you decide to go blue?
Yeah. It was the best fit for me holistically, mentally, on the football field, off the football field. And I felt like I was gonna develop as a man the best at Michigan. So that's why I chose Michigan.
Let's talk about your relationship with Coach BJ, man. I mean, for the first time I talked to you, you said, hey, I liked him at Tennessee. And then you said, you went to Michigan. Now I'm liking Michigan. What is it about about Coach BJ that made you say, man, that's my guy?
Yeah, I mean, I was rocking with Coach BJ while he was at Tennessee, but then like when he came to Michigan, with the bigger platform, knowing the networking they have, it was a no-brainer for me. And obviously, knowing the performance that Coach Wink showed, it was a no-brainer. So I knew that Michigan was the place for me.
So when you are not the first to have your name in a sport, right? And you have an opportunity to follow in the footsteps of someone in your family. It can be hard to blaze your own trail, right? A lot of people just expected you, for instance, to go to Notre Dame. What was it that made you decide to go your own way?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm the one who's waking up at 5 a.m. I'm the one who's putting the work in daily. So it's not somebody else's steps that I'm putting myself into, but it's about doing my own thing. It's about just doing my own thing and just doing what's best for me and for my family. So,
All right. So when people pop on the tape,
mm-hmm.
oh no, forget the tape. They don't have to pop on the tape anymore.
Yeah.
Because now you're a Wolverine. When you step on the football field and they finally see you, they see Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng on the field, break down their game. Tell them what they're going to see.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to see a lot of things, honestly. Like one, they're going to see a leader, like somebody who knows the defense in and out. They're going to see somebody who is very versatile, like somebody who can blitz off the edge, cover and pass coverage. And then at the end of the day, like when it's time to meet, whoever is running the ball, it's going to be physical. So yeah.
Hey, man, and you and a couple of your IMG teammates are Wolverines coming to Michigan together. That has to be cool, man. What's that like?
Yeah, knowing that you have a chance to play with your teammates again, even though they're on the offensive side of the ball, but just knowing that you have a chance to play like with your teammates again. So it's a cool opportunity, and I can't wait to get started. Go Blue.
Absolutely. And give a word or two about Coach Moore, man. I know Coach BJ was, who was behind your interest in Michigan, but you got to get hooked on the head coach too. So what about Coach Moore?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Moore is a very personable coach. Like Coach Moore would call me on a day-to-day basis, and it's not even about football, you know what I mean? So he would just make sure I'm good, life after football and just in football. So going back to what I said earlier, holistically, it was the best place for me. Straight from the time I went there to now, they showed me the most love, and now I know where I'm going. So.
Right. All right. So you said you know where you're going. Kind of lay out the calendar. What comes next? When do you get to Michigan? When do you report to Ann Arbor?
Yeah. So I have the UA All-American game from December 9th, from December 29th to January 3rd. And then after that, then it's go time. So I can't wait to get started.
Yeah, man. I know it was big for you because I remember talking to some guys. They said, man, when he came, and one of the things he was interested in, he wanted to know what Bryce was going to do. When you heard Bryce was going to Michigan, man, was that something that really resonated with you?
I mean, obviously, it's not something that resonated with me a lot, but it's something that resonated with me because obviously knowing that you have a quarterback, in your class and knowing that you have an offense who can really go up and then put points up daily, daily. So yeah.
Well, listen, man, congratulations on officially becoming a Wolverine. Looking forward to seeing you do your thing. Thank you for taking time out of your special day. Congratulations and good luck. See you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng, officially in the fold, taking time out of his day. Yeah, man, when we were talking on the Recruiting Insider show, we talked about a couple of, nuggets that we were going to drop. There were two. I said, hey, we knew that some, as far as them adding someone to the class was on the horizon, right? That was going to get people excited. And then we knew that there was some news, there were some nuggets, there might be something on the horizon that was going on that they were talking about, they were talking to. We'd see if it was going to be something. So the one that people were going to get excited about, that was Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng, that he had already committed. So, didn't want to put in a crystal ball on the young man because we didn't want to blow up his spot. Don't want to take away from the young man's, take away from his day. Didn't want to blow up his news, so we sat on that one. But that's what we were talking about. The other piece that we were like, might be something, might be nothing, but that was Nate Marshall. We knew he had been in contact, but didn't know if it was going to turn into anything. He had reached out to Michigan, didn't know if it was going to be him coming back to the class or if it was just going to fizzle. Well, wound up him coming back to the class. So there you go. But that brings us to another young man who, wow, you talk about guys I've been watching for years now, before he was a highly rated recruit. And I think I started to say, as far as recruiting jobs go in this class, outside of Bryce, who will go down as one of the best recruiting stories, one of the biggest time recruiting efforts in the history of Michigan football. In this class, after that, this may be the most impressive recruitment in this class. When you consider what the reputation for this offense was. Bryce Underwood was not committed when this young man committed, so they didn't have a big time quarterback. And you were recruiting against big time offenses with big time quarterbacks, and this young man hails from Texas. And Ron Bellamy went down and got a commitment from Andrew Marsh. This is an outstanding recruiting job. Hands down, one of the best. After Bryce Underwood, as far as recruiting efforts go, this to me is the best recruiting job in this class. As far as individual efforts go, this recruiting job right here. Outstanding job. Andrew Marsh joins us right now. Andrew, congratulations, young fella, on officially becoming a Wolverine.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, man, I always tell the story. The first time I saw you on that camp at Wayne State, I don't know if you had 2 offers. I don't know if you had 3, but I knew you were going to be special. And then
Yes,
like
sir.
a year later, it felt like you had 30, man. You just blew up. And now here you are, officially a Wolverine, man. And so take me on the journey. What was it about Michigan that let you know that Michigan was the place?
I would really just say a little bit of everything. From the people, the coaches, the community. I really just feel like they could do the most for me on the field and off the field.
Now, that relationship with Coach Bellamy, it really started some years ago. And he connected with your whole family.
Yes, sir.
And I swear, Andrew, you visited Michigan more times than dudes who live in Michigan. So what about that relationship? Because it felt like that was the key to you committing to Michigan.
I would really just say that relationship was huge for me. Through everything, Coach Bellamy always made sure to stay in touch. Really just to make sure that I'm doing well. So that really meant a lot to me. Just that he could always stay in touch. We could always keep in contact.
And so your game, Andrew, I have my thoughts on what you do, how I think you get down. But
Yes,
what
sir.
about you? You know, tell people about your game.
I mean, I think I'm a game changer. I really think I'm a guy that's gonna come in, make a difference for the program early, um, bring a new aspect to Michigan football.
You know what I like about you though? You were saying that before Bryce was in the class. Because you came up, I remember you came up. And so this is folks who don't know. He came up, I can't remember what game it was. But it was a week before Shamari Earls committed. And he had a sweatshirt that he gave me and it said, everything's gonna be okay. And it's like,
Yes, sir.
I don't care who else come. I'm here. Everything's gonna be okay. Like I'm here. Everything's gonna be okay. Like we good. You know, if everybody else come, we gonna be okay. If nobody else come, we gonna be okay. So what about that? Where does that come from? Where does that confidence come from?
I'll really just say that's something that I always had. I definitely play like it, and I just try and live with it.
And so, but you wanted to make sure Michigan had the best chance to get Bryce. So you came up on a visit. You went to go see him at a game.
Yes,
The
sir.
next week, your mom flew up on a visit without you to go recruit him. You guys were really instrumental in trying to help recruit him and other people in the class. What about that?
I mean, I really just thought if this is somewhere I'm gonna be, really just make it the best, get the best shot at it.
Okay, all right, man. All right, so what comes next for you, Andrew? When do you report to Ann Arbor? Lay out the calendar. What comes next?
I think we're looking at the 15th or 16th. So really for me, just ready to get up there, start working with the guys, with the staff, stuff like that. Really just get acclimated.
Okay. And last but certainly not least, I got to get a couple words from you on two people, Coach Moore, or three people, Coach Moore, Bryce Underwood, and then last one, got to talk about your mom. Got to talk about Eleanor and just the support that you have got from your mom and from your whole family for that matter.
Yeah, Coach Moore. I really think that he's a big part of the reason why I'm going to Michigan. He's really a great guy. Someone that's really personable, easy to talk to. I really like his vision, that what he has for the school, for the program moving forward. I just really think that he's a bright mind in football, someone that I would love to play for. And then talking about Bryce,
Yeah, and
Bryce.
so folks, it is about that time where we get ready to and I want to thank Andrew as we are shaking some things up over here as we got my screen went out a little bit, and so I'm going to shake this up over here. Andrew, I want to thank you for not that screen. I want to thank you for coming on. Appreciate you, my man.
Yes,
I
sir.
want to let you get back to your ceremony because I know you have that going on over there. And so in the meantime, in between time, I want to point people back to the New Blue campaign. Point people back to the New Blue campaign and your opportunity to give to the New Blue campaign here on the New Blue Signing Day show, brought to you by Champion Circle. Because coming up, we are going to have number 19 himself. And I needed to get things restarted so we can get ready to go. And it would jump on right at this time. I understand. I'm talking to Dave. I know we're not getting the coach Moore at this time because I'm trying to get ready for Bryce. You know, I'm talking to Dave at the same time. Do we have anybody in the room at this moment? Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to connect to my phone and we're going to go ahead and put Bryce in the room on my phone. Send me the link to my phone so we can put Bryce in the room, and I'm going to connect to this. Yeah. That's what happened. So send me the link to my phone so I can put him on here. All right. Let's make this happen. We're gonna do it this way. And then I'm going to go in the room and we're going to get number 19 himself in the fold. And see, this is how producer Ben takes care of me. Appreciate you, producer Ben. As we are jumping in, and go ahead and let's introduce my man and producer Ben. All right, we are good. We are good to go. Put number 19 in the room. The
What's going on? How you
QB1
doing?
himself. Appreciate you joining us, big fella.
For sure. Thank you for
Congratulations
having me.
on officially becoming a Wolverine.
Yes, sir.
Glad that you are officially in the fold, and man, it's a pleasure to have you on. Let's just talk about real quick. What was it that made you know that you wanted to become a Wolverine?
Honestly, all the sacrifices that was made for me to even be possibly a part of the Michigan Wolverine football team, and also being here at home, as well as my fan base that I carry that's here already, and also me bringing them with me and opening the door for everybody from Michigan possibly, and big players that can become from Michigan. So with that, it just opened the door for a lot of players that's way younger than me. So that was one of the main things that was going through my thought process at the moment, and also great education as well as that. So.
Yeah, man. It and talking to Coach Dooley, talking to Coach Crowell, talking to people in your circle, they made it very clear. And I know this about you as well. You know, there's this thing with you being the first, the opportunity to be the first guy from Michigan, the first guy to stay home and do it, to be to take Michigan to a championship, and to be that dude. They said, man, that's something that means something to Bryce. What about that piece of it?
For sure, just being a hometown hero is what has been told to me for the last 3 to 4 years of my life. My high school career has been told to me for the longest. So it's like making that dream come true and making it actually like a branding now. So it's like it's insane.
Yeah, man. And so, you know, you make that call. You got to also believe in the head coach, man.
Of
You
course,
got to have a feeling, a vibe with the dude that's going to lead you in Sherrone Moore.
definitely
So what
for
about
sure.
that piece, man? Connecting with Coach Moore.
Coach Moore, honestly, he's been a part of a national championship team, which wasn't too long ago, just last year. You know, last year around this time they was competing for the national championship award, and then I seen nothing but great play calling. So that means he's a great leader in some way, somehow. So, which means that he'll lead us to where we need to be, no matter what. So.
I got to give you a chance to shout out your family, man. I've been watching you since you were a freshman in high school. I know you got a tight circle, but it
Of course.
starts with your family. You know, your mom and your dad, Jaquan and Beverly, and I. You know, obviously talk to your dad the most,
Yeah,
and Jaquan, and the support that they've given you and how they've helped shield you as well. So
definitely.
I want to give you a minute to really be able to talk about them and shout them out and how they help guide you along this path and this journey that you've been on. So what about that?
For sure. Family was the biggest thing throughout this process, no matter how big the dollar amount that was proposed to everything, like no matter what, they were the biggest factor to me, and no matter what, and made sure that they were okay. So my mom and my dad has did nothing but cherish me, love me, and push me to be the greatest I could be. So it's nothing else that I needed from that point. So all I knew is I had them and my little sister as well, making her proud, making her show that I'm a great example for her. So that was another main thing as well for me, and make sure that I'm able to open the gates for her to walk right through them and then pursue her dreams, whatever they will be. So just giving them all the thanks in the world, because I wouldn't be here without them today. So
That's super cool, man. One of the things I've admired about you as a young man from the time you stepped onto the high school field, Belleville was a championship program when you stepped in, and that wasn't too big for you. You know, you were always a great athlete, you know,
of
really
course,
physical and impressive, but, you know, to be able to mentally handle that pressure, you were able to
mm,
do that. And then stepping on this stage, it just doesn't seem too big. You always step into it and ready to embrace the pressure. Where do you get that from?
honestly, I got that from my dad. My dad always helped me persevere through anything, no matter how big it is, how small it is. Keep it the same level as the intensity it will be. So honestly, he helped me prepare my entire life for no matter what obstacle I have to face and everything I have to come over. So I just want to thank my dad and also my mom just consistently back to family and everything. Like my mom consistently wake me up every morning, push me, give me a goal for the day, just for me to be great every single morning, every single night, every single day. So.
All right. Hey, do we have Coach Moore in there? He's not in there. All right. I wanted to try to get Bryce on with Coach Moore, but I want to let him go ahead and get back to his ceremony. Bryce, hey man, thanks a lot for taking the time with us, man. I know you got
For
a
sure.
lot
Thank
going
you so
on.
much. I appreciate
I
it.
appreciate you. Thanks a lot,
For
man.
sure. Yes, sir.
That's Bryce Underwood, number 19, taking time with us on his special day on the New Blue Signing Day show. That's how we get down. That's how we get down. All right, folks. Listen, we try to deliver for the people. We try to deliver for the people. Can you give me my plug there? Producer Ben, see, you got to be able to deal with technical difficulties on the fly. And producer Ben dealt with them like a champ. That's my crew right there. Because there was a little second there where I couldn't hear. Navigated that like a champ. I appreciate that. So, listen, that was a hell of a recruiting job to persevere in that recruitment. Sherrone Moore, Ron Bellamy, Champion Circle. I mean, you don't have a recruitment like that. You don't achieve a recruitment like that without support. Fans. The Hellgate Group. The Hellgate Group did a great job. All right. Okay. Let's pull it up. Appreciate you. Let's put him on the screen. There he is.
What up, man?
What's going on, my guy?
Bless, man.
There
Bless
he is. Let me get my frame right. Hey,
Bless
why don't you flip him over? Flip him over to the other side of the screen. Flip him over to the other side of the screen, please. Thank you very much. My man, Coach Moore.
What up, man?
How you doing?
I'm blessed.
Hey, man, this is a heck of a class you put together, Coach Moore.
It is, man. Just, thankful for a great staff job, a great staff effort, everything everybody did came to fruition. Excited about the class and the foundation that's been built with this class, with the guys we got now, but we're just getting started.
Yes, and so when you think about the effort that went into it, that's one thing. But you got to sell belief, Sherrone, belief in a direction despite what they're seeing on the field in the moment. Mm-hmm. They got to believe in you. They got to believe in culture. And you got to get 19 to believe in those things. And that was one of the things that he just talked about. And so the importance of that and how you achieve that with him. Can you talk about that?
I mean, I think, when you go through a season like we've had with 5 losses, it could definitely, put a toll on you. But, one thing you definitely got to do is go back to the man upstairs. You got to rely on God. He's the most important piece of all this. And then you got to rely on the people around you, your family, your friends, that, your circle that you really love. And then, obviously your football family and the guys here. And I think we have a great culture. We've built a great culture here over the past, my 7 years, just 7 years here. But it really withstood it, this year. This year, it's great when everybody's winning. When you're winning, it's great to be able to stay together and cheer and be happy and smile. But when you go through adversity, it really tests it. And our kids, man, to watch, especially the last 2 games, what they've done and how they persevered. And then I think the people saw that. I think the recruits saw that. I think guys saw our team continue to fight, and they continue to see what they put on film and what they did, and understand my vision as they talk to me about what I want this to look like and what I want it to be, and the passion that I have for this program, and understand what my vision was. And they believed it and understand what we're trying to accomplish. And we got a really good class.
So here we are on the New Blue Signing Day show brought to you by Champion Circle. You talk about support. You need support from your university. You need support from your fans. You need support from collectives like Champion Circle, which obviously is, they are your primary collective driving the success of your recruiting efforts. So can you talk about how pivotal they've been in your efforts as far as recruiting are concerned?
I mean, yeah, they've been huge. Not just in the recruiting, but even in the retention. The past years, they started 3 years ago with the Those Who Stay Fund, and guys like Trevor Keegan, Blake Corum, Zach Zinner, those guys staying, Mikey Sanders, Chris Jenkins, going on to this year with all the guys that stayed and building what we have to this date. Like they've been a key cognizant to who we are, not just in recruiting but retention. And we're very thankful to have everybody in that program and what they've done for us. So continue that support. It's huge, as they've seen, and I think the continued support, it can't just stop here. It's got to continue to flourish as we continue to build this team.
Well, folks, you see on the bottom of the screen how you can help support the New Blue campaign and Team 146. If you want to help continue the efforts like the one that they had in this recruiting class, that is how you can do it. That is how you can support. That is how you can grow efforts like this, by giving. If you're listening, championscircleufm.com. Again, championscircleufm.com. What about 19 though? This is generational talent. This is the highest rated player in the history of the program, Sherrone, that you were able to secure. What does he signal and signify for this program, and what about that recruitment?
I mean, one, it tells you that, we're not going to stop with, especially the best players in the state. We want to put a big gate around the state, a wall around the state of, we want the best players. And it started with him. And obviously he's the best player in the country. So that was a huge piece too. But you talk about a guy that has generational talent, ability, potential to be one of the best players to play at Michigan. But what you see when you meet the kid and when you talk to the kid, that it's far deeper than that. Like, the kid wants to be great, but he knows that it's going to take work. And he knows that he's got to be pushed. And he knows that it's not going to be given to him. And that's what you really love about him. You love that. You love that work ethic. I mean, I told this story a couple of times. Like, the first question he asked me when we sat down in the office, me and him, is like, Coach, how long is the indoor open? How long is the weight room open? Like, I like to, just go out and throw. I'm like, that's the type of guy you want as your quarterback. So it was awesome to get him, and he's such a phenomenal kid with a phenomenal family. So just excited to have 19 a part of our program.
Yeah, man. And you had some, a lot of flips, but rarely is it the case that you see a guy flip away and flip back. You achieved one of the biggest flip away and flip backs of all time. I was talking about it before with what you were able to do with Dax Hill. Calm under fire. He flips to Alabama. You stay calm and you say, I'm here if you want to come back. Mm-hmm. He comes back. That was one of the reasons why, because of how you responded to that. You were able to do the same thing with Nate Marshall. What about that?
I mean, I think it's really about relationships with these kids. They yearn, they need the relationships with people. And I credit Coach Lou Esposito for the job he did with him, man. It was constant contact. I remember I do my calls on certain nights, and I'd flush, 30, 40 calls of people, of kids, and try to talk to as many kids as I could to keep those relationships going. And he'd always say, hey, I talked to Nate, had this conversation with Nate, and, it was great. I mean, we just kept that relationship going, and Nate always wanted to be here, and ultimately he chose to be here. And I think that was obviously a great decision. He's a great player from a great family and a great kid. So excited to have him on the team.
Yeah, you guys did a great job of here in the end of flipping some guys, going in and grabbing guys that had been committed to other classes. Mm-hmm. And getting them in yours. But it felt like these were guys who you had great relationships with. Shamari Earls, mm-hmm. Jordan Young. These were guys, for instance, that Lamar Morgan had built great relationships with already, right? Yep. Elijah Dotson, this is a state of Michigan kid that you guys had a great relationship with. What about that, the way you guys were able to nurture relationships with?
Yeah, I mean, you said it with Coach Morgan, what he did with those relationships. That was huge. It was huge. And then obviously I take a lot of pride in building those relationships with those kids as the head coach. I think it's important that they feel that from me, because when they feel that from me, they feel the energy of the program, they feel the vision of the program. So it was awesome to be able to build those relationships. Those are all like great kids. I mean, some of those guys would just call me every single day. We wouldn't talk about football. We just talk about random things, where they're going to eat, what they're about to do, what's on their mind. And that's what you want when you build a team. That's what you want when you build a roster, when you build a program. So it's been awesome to be able to do that, and we'll continue to do that.
Patience and persistence too, Sherrone. That was another thing that really stood out to me in this class, because, you know, there are a lot of coaches that would tap out and get frustrated with some of these recruitments. That could have been the case with Bryce.
Yeah.
That could have been the case with Babalola. That could have been the case with Shamari. I mean, there are a lot of instances where it'd been like, I'm done with this recruitment. You know, there were plenty of opportunities to do that.
Yeah.
But you guys really stayed patient in the face of a lot of opportunities to be frustrated and quit. How are you able to do that? Why were you able to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think nowadays you have to do that. You don't have a choice, because, you know, things go on. People, you know, things change, staffs changes, kids' minds change. You know, in the world we have today, especially with social media, their minds are all over the place. You know, and for us, we have to stay the course, stay consistent. And, you know, if you have a plan, you got to go execute the plan. And just because the plan goes array or goes up and down doesn't mean you can stop. You got to, you know, that's even more time to stick to the plan, to try to go execute and get the players you want to go get. So staff did a great job all around, recruiting staff, coaches doing a great job of staying the course on all these recruitments, and ultimately built a really good class.
And so, Sherrone, another thing that happened, obviously, you had a coaching change, an offensive coordinator. I'm curious, how did you handle that as you, whether you're recruiting Bryce, and I'm sure he maybe had some questions about direction offensively, or any of the offensive recruits. How did you handle that discussion as you were thinking about making a change? And how did you handle that discussion after you made a change with those offensive recruits?
Yeah, I mean, you know, this just very, very just open and real. Just telling them that, you know, making a change in the direction of the offense and what we want to do. You know, it's really, you know, fortunate to have him here at the time he was, but felt like we need those necessary changes, and told those guys to trust me that I'll make the best decision to bring in the best person to lead this offense to be the best it could be. And they know my intentions is to go win championships. And, you know, we got great players, great skill players, keep building the line. We got great lineman recruits and got great guys here. So they know that my vision and what I want it to be, and I want to be explosive in the run and the pass. And we're going to go get somebody that can help us go do that.
Absolutely. I know for you, offensive line is where it starts. And boy, you got some guys who soft-spoken off the field, but animals, absolute animals on the field. That sounds like you, Sherrone. All these guys sound like you, man. They're like spitting images of Sherrone Moore.
Yeah, and they're way better players than I was. I'll tell you what, they're really good. But I mean, you start with Andrew Babalola, just an elite skill set. Talking about size, strength, ability, bend, physicality, all those things, and you get him off the field. Yeah, you think he's a scientist. I mean, the kid's unbelievable, unbelievable kid. Just a great player, and shows a lot of ability to even grow more, because they've only been playing the game for about 2 years. Avery Gach is another one, man. He's very soft-spoken, humble kid, but he's a monster when he gets on the field. Play both ways. Excited about him. And then Kaden Strayhorn, dad played at Michigan State, and he's a kid we've been recruiting for a long time. Just he loves the game. He loves to work. He loves to get better. So I was excited to get him in the boat.
Absolutely, Sherrone. I mean, you talk about building a class. You guys built an excellent one. I know you got a scoop. Before you do, though, when you talk about the role that a collective plays now in this day and age, because I want to close on this, want to give you an opportunity to close on this, though. When you talk about the role that a collective plays in not only building a class, but sustaining a program, it feels like in this day and age, how they help you and how they help engage the fans is more important than ever, because I think fans fall under the impression that it's just about large donor support. But
Yeah.
I think what collectives allow you to do is engage the fans in a way that allow them to participate and let them know that that's important too. That it's not just about the large donor support. Them and their support is essential to sustaining your program as well.
Yeah, every little bit helps, right? It's not just the large donors and large lump sums, but every little bit, every piece of the puzzle helps. You know, you add a whole hundred pennies, you get $1. So like, we want to keep adding pieces to the puzzle, and you know, the fan support is huge. You know, not only from a financial standpoint, but from an emotional, physical. I just love hearing our fans, being around our fans, and what they've done for us. But that's going to continue to help our players, not just from that aspect, but off the field too. You know, the collectives helped us with that, but they've also helped us with opportunities of guys to meet people that they never would have met if we didn't have the collective. So that's going to help them with life after football. So it's so important for us to have that, and want to keep that relationship going, and appreciate all the support that we've had to this point, and we got to keep it going.
Absolutely. Well, Sherrone, it has been impressive to see how you guys were able to close out this class. I know you got some things that you're trying to close out the rest of the way, but what you've done
Yep.
so far, absolutely fantastic. And of course, what you were able to do Saturday, a lot of folks didn't think it was possible, Sherrone. A lot of
They
folks
didn't.
didn't think it was possible, but you were able to get your guys to believe. And I want to close on that note. Belief is a powerful thing, man. You can coach belief, and you were able to coach belief in your guys. You went down there and you believed you can get it done, and you guys were able to get it done. What about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing, Sam, like, and I told him in the team meeting on Monday that it even wasn't even about belief. It was just trust, like trust in yourself, trust in your training, trust in your teammate, trust in the plan that it's going to get done. And you could see in their eyes, like after we won the Northwestern game, like guys flipped a switch. Like they knew what it was. They knew what time it was. When you walk in our building, you see that everywhere. What are you doing today to beat Ohio State? I mean, my mindset after the game, I started thinking about the next one, you know? So like it's always on your mind, and you know, how you build a class, how you bring people in to, whether it's staff, whether it's in the portal, whatever it is, it's always to beat that team. And, that's how we're going to continue to build it, to make sure that we're on top of that game.
Absolutely. Well, Coach Moore, appreciate 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 it as always, man.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for your time.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations on a great class. Good luck getting ready for the bowl game, man, and we'll see you soon.
Appreciate it, man. Go Blue.
Absolutely. Sherrone, Coach Moore. All right, with that. And so I think I got the technical difficulties just about figured out. Let me go ahead and get back to hold on one second. So here's what happened, folks. First of all, some of y'all in the chat need to calm the hell down. Really. See, I don't have time for the foolishness. I really don't. Like I that little time for the foolishness, especially for a free service. Like this is a free show. Free shows means free to boot you out of the show. That's what a free show means. So relax. So let me explain to you what happened. Computer crashed, lost sound, couldn't hear. You follow? Computer crashed, lost sound, couldn't hear. Bryce is in the waiting room. Sherrone's in the waiting room. So we have to fix this on the fly, right? So I had to end the Andrew interview abruptly, not out of disrespect, but out of necessity. That's my man. That's my guy. I'm not going to disrespect him. And anybody who watches me ought to know that. So relax. I'm telling you, you got some folks in here who don't know how I get down. All right. The New Blue Signing Day show, brought to you by our friends at Champion Circle. You need to participate, folks. participate. Don't just watch NIL support from large donors. Participate. NIL is about multiple levels of support, multiple levels of revenue, multiple streams, I should say, of revenue. Large donors, events, crowdfunding, which means you. New Blue campaign. Ben, can you put it up on the screen? Producer Ben. Let's make it happen. So folks in the chat who are in their feelings, use that passion for something. You're passionate about something? You want to support Andrew Marsh? Support Andrew Marsh by going to the New Blue campaign and making some donations. Support that way. Put your money where your mouth is. Put your money where your keyboard fingers are. Let's make it happen. Let's drive those numbers up. ChampionCircleUofM.com. Let's get my man Andrew Marsh back on. Andrew, it is good to see you, my friend. Apologies for the technical difficulties earlier. And let's get back to the conversation that we were having, because I lost sound and I couldn't hear you. We were talking about your mom, Eleanor Marsh. At least that's the last part of the conversation that I remember. Because here's the great thing about Eleanor. Man, every camp that, I mean, you were at Wayne State a couple of times. You were at like 2 or 3 Michigan camps. I think you visited Michigan 27 times that your mom has you up here. I mean, she had you everywhere. And then she came up to Michigan to visit without you. So I think we need to shout Eleanor Marsh out.
Yeah, shout out to moms.
And she's a hell of a recruiter, bro. Because I think she was doing a little recruiting of Underwood even when you weren't here.
Yes, sir. That's the word on the street.
And she gets it in. She gets it in. And so the other thing that we were talking about when you were on, you were talking a little bit about your game, and you cut out, at least for me, maybe the fans heard it, but I didn't hear it when you were talking about your game. So player comparison, player comp. Who would you compare yourself to? If you're a player or a scout in the stands and you're watching Andrew Marsh on the field, who would you compare yourself to? Is there a player that you kind of say, hey, that's who I'm like?
2 guys that I like to say, especially right now, I like to say D-Hop and Justin Jefferson. Really just Jefferson, his craftiness and his routes, his ability to get open. And then D-Hop always going to make the tough grabs, the grabs in traffic, and he really just plays bigger than he is.
Yeah, man. Well, you know what I said to you? I said Xavier Worthy, man. See, I see that sort of wiry kind of shiftiness. Now, I don't know if you have 4.28 or what is it, 4.28 or 4.21 or whatever it was. You know, I see 4.4, 4.3 in there. But that same sort of make you miss in the phone booth or run by you, I see that. So you ever heard Xavier Worthy?
Yeah, I have. I've heard that a few times, for sure.
Yeah, man, I'm feeling that some. And so, man, what was this part of it that stood out to me? You said Michigan even before Bryce was committed. But then when he committed, come on, man, you really had to see the possibilities. And that had to excite you.
Of course.
And so
just to be able
Jacob,
to play with the #1 prospect.
Yeah. So have you started to have visions about what that might look like, you and your fellow receivers, with him kind of dishing it out to all you guys?
I mean, I've thought about it a little bit, but I just know that whenever the time comes, it's time to work. We got to make something happen for sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, as you look ahead, I mean, what is next? Kind of lay out the calendar. When do you get to Michigan? What's the timeline for you the rest of the way?
So for me, I'm supposed to get up there around the 15th, and so really from there, get physicals, get checked in with all the doctors and stuff like that. Really just get acclimated, start working with the guys, the team, the staff. Really just get used to it up there.
Yeah, man, it was a pleasure to really watch you grow, to witness your grind. It's been fun. It's been fun. It's been gratifying. Proud of you. Because here, you know what I'm most proud of, and I've said this before. You're the same dude, man. Same dude. That's a lot. And I also want to give you the opportunity to talk about your why, man, because I know when you committed to Michigan, you waited to make it be special, a special moment, a special day. Can you talk about that for people who don't know about why you waited to do it when you did it?
So yeah, at first we were looking towards Veterans Day, but then we ended up settling on my dad's birthday, because I lost my dad whenever I was younger. So ever since then, it's really just been me, my mom, and my sisters. And so that's really my why right there. Really just my people I got around me. Really just want to be able to take care of them at the end of the day, make sure that they're all good. If they're all good, I'm all good.
Yeah, absolutely. And so again, man, looking forward to seeing you do your thing. You know, outstanding prospect. Even better, dude. Congratulations on officially becoming a Wolverine, and can't wait to see you get down in Amazing Blue.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. Appreciate you, Andrew.
All right.
That's
Thanks for having
Andrew
me.
Marsh. All right. And that's to, to all y'all that was talking slick in this chat. I should go back and boot everybody out who was talking slick. There's some new people up in here. I know I shouldn't waste time on them, producer Ben. But see, you're supposed to be a proxy. Ben, see, I didn't even see all the people that were talking slick because I was trying to fix the technical difficulties. You were supposed to be in there acting like me. And you weren't acting like me. You used to be like, who is that talking all crazy? Come on, Ben. Come on, man. You've been around me long enough to know what I would say. All right, let's keep it moving. Here on the New Blue Signing Day show, brought to you by Champion Circle. In all seriousness, the folks that were so passionate about Andrew's interview, I actually like that. That's great that you were so passionate that you thought I cut him off just to get to Bryce. I'm cutting him off just to get to Bryce, right? Which is not what happened. But if you're that passionate about him, take that passion and go donate. Take that passion, put that website up on the screen, producer Ben. Can you do that? Producer Ben. What? You look like me right now. Okay, there you go. There you go, producer Ben. Way to make it happen. Go to that site. We need to be driving up this number. Don't just rely on large donors. Crowdsourcing, crowdfunding, you in the crowd. You who are passionate about Andrew Marsh and passionate about all these recruits. Passionate about Team 146. Go to the site. Put the site up on the screen, the link up on the screen too. Ben? Yes. Let's make it happen. I'm going to be tweeting about it. I already put the link up on Twitter. I'm going to be tweeting about it throughout the day as well, or the rest of the night. We're about to talk to Sean Magee. Can we bring Sean Magee up on the screen? This is my guy. General Manager Sean Magee. You know, when you talk about how programs are run now, you got to have sort of an NFL perspective on things, I think. And Michigan has that now. based on Sean's experience in the NFL, and he joins us now. Sean, how you doing?
Sam, doing phenomenally well. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. It's good to have you on. We were talking about this for a long time.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's it's a landmark day in our program's history, and what we're doing in terms of what this new class of 2025, will add to our team for this team 146 and beyond. But it's just an incredible day and incredible to be here with you. I joke with Sam all the time about I like to stay in the shadows some, but I'm happy to be on here and talk a little bit with everybody.
Yeah, the perspective on how NIL and rosters and managing rosters, how all of that converges. I don't think that people really understand how crucial it is to have the kind of experience that you have. But I really think it has been essential in how you guys are balancing recruiting. And I really think it's also going to shape how you guys go into the portal. Can you talk about how, as you are in it, how that experience has kind of shaped the direction of how you guys are doing things?
Oh, without a doubt. Having the opportunity to see the world, through the lens of professional football and developing that perspective. I don't say this arrogantly or egotistically, but others and my peers and competing programs around the country, people who are in these roles that are helping to manage those efforts, develop those strategies. I'm the only one that's been in an NFL front office, right? To be able to see that, to be able to live and experience it, so hugely invaluable, to have that. When Coach Moore, got the job last year and called me and said, "Hey, I need you. Will you come back?" I've told this story to others. In the last 2 years of being in the NFL and being exposed to college players from all around the country, right? And as we were evaluating, scouting, but building a roster, and the unique experience in Chicago of really tearing a roster down to build it back up. I had the unique perspective of being able to go into other buildings across America. And we were extraordinarily happy to be in the NFL and to live that life and be experienced and exposed to that. But in the back of my mind, I had Michigan always in there, right? And Michigan was the benchmark. And so we go into these great buildings and great places with great players and coaches and history. And I just find myself saying, "It ain't Michigan." Go to the next place and the same thing, right? And it wasn't because of, again, the players or the coaches or the building, but I knew what it took to create this special culture with special players, right? And that's the essential part of this, right? And whether it's in college football and the NFL, is first and foremost, you have to define your vision for what that fit is for the player on your roster. So how do you define that first? How do you build the strategy? And then how do you execute that strategy, within that vision? So, really seeing the economics of pro football and seeing how you operate with resource constraints. It was unique for me to experience. And again, right, as this new world and this landscape is changing every day, I think it's an essential part of what we're doing right now, right? And I think that gives us a bit of a competitive advantage at this point. And I think what we're doing and the strategies that Coach Moore, myself are developing, that's going to allow us to compete at the highest level and to have a sustainable process to compete at the highest level.
And when you have a collective like the Champion Circle and the work that they've done to really first engage large donors in the way that they have and cultivate them in the way that they have, but also with how they're engaging, the regular, I call them regular donors, but the rank and file donors. That's important too, to not just be about the large donors that you understand you can't just tap them all the time. What about the partnership that you have with the Champion Circle and collectives and how crucial that is? What about that piece?
Oh, and it's true. And the definition partnership is so apt because nothing that we do on either side of this, right? Nothing that we do as a football program, the Champion Circle does. We reach our goals and objectives because of that true partnership. I'm every day, connected at the hip with our Champion Circle staff. And they have done phenomenal things. And the support of everyone on this call, everyone listening on this broadcast, like you said, Sam, it's not just the large scale donors, right? And certainly we need large donors. We need that sort of investment. But the crowdfunding, the online memberships, the events, right? To the opportunity to give Michigan fans access, to our program, it's amazing, right? And this is shifted. This is a new model. This is different, and it's essential to what we're trying to do. This next year it's not an understatement to say it's the most pivotal year in the history of college athletics. I know everyone's heard about, the House settlement and what that means and what the future of revenue sharing means. But this year and the calendar year of 2025 is going to be unlike any we've seen before it, and probably any we'll see after it. So if this goes to plan, that the House settlement is approved in April and can start in July, institutions will have the opportunity to directly compensate student athletes, through a revenue share equation, and have total funds that then will be allocated to the different sports, across the spectrum. The huge part of this, and what we battle, and myself along with Champion Circle in this donor outreach and talking to individuals to support. So both, like we said, at the crowdfunding level, at the large donor level, everyone saying, oh, well, the problem's solved, right? Revenue share is coming. It is, but it's not fully there, right? That's not going to start until July of next year. So the first 6 months of 2025 are absolutely pivotal and crucial, for us to support, to be able to build this sustainable model and this roster, as we venture into this new world, right? And this brand new environment of college athletics. So it is, when I talk to others in my seat or my peers around the country, they're amazed at what Champion Circle's done. There are other ways. You look at, for example, the state of Georgia, the state of Ohio, right? They've passed governmental orders, right, or governor executive orders, to be able to use state funds or allow the institutions to be able to now, before revenue share starts, to be able to compensate student athletes in this new environment. People can't believe the success that we've had from the Champion Circle and the work that's been done, because people really aren't getting there the same way we have. So it's been incredible, and like I said, essential to what we're doing as a program.
Yeah, and so it's going to be interesting to see, as you talk about the revenue sharing model and paying players directly, and how that happens, and your experience of being applied to roster retention and paying players, and how you sort of slot.
Yeah.
In the NFL, you got a salary cap and how much you spend on certain positions. You gotta kind of apply those strategies and maybe have some discipline. And I'm curious if you started to already kind of set that structure even ahead of time, so when it hits, you can be ready to kind of have those. How much am I going to spend on offensive line? How much am I going to spend on receivers? And understanding we got to be disciplined in how we approach this, and we aren't going to go over slot value for that. Have you started to do that already?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's a huge part of executing this vision and strategy. In the NFL, player evaluation is fairly straightforward. The NFL likes to have this kind of the myth making of the calculus that goes involved in some of these decisions. But I tell our players all the time, and our guys and recruits, when we have these conversations, in the NFL, after you get through a rookie contract, when you have your first opportunity to negotiate a contract, player evaluation is straightforward. It's your production and comps, right? So if you are a wide receiver, we heard from Andrew Marsh earlier, who's going to be a dynamic, fantastic member of the Maize and Blue. He is going to be a superstar here. When you have a wide receiver and you're looking at an individual that's coming off their rookie contract, that's going for their second contract that the club wants to sign, or you want to sign a free agent, you're looking at past production, you're looking at potential for future production, and that means specifically catches, touchdowns, all the variables that you want to look that way. You're looking at age and injury history. And then on the other side, you're looking at comps. So looking at that entire picture of the athlete and the player, then you're looking at how the market ranks or compensates that athlete with those similar attributes in stats and production. So it's not rocket science, right? And it's fitting that in. And as you see and you read about the contracts in the NFL and how they're derived, there's a straightforward approach. So the problem in college football right now, there are no comps. So you can understand production. You can understand, whether it's on your own team, whether it's in the transfer portal that's played at this level. You can also have projections from recruits, right, of what you believe that production is going to be, but there are no defined comps. So what we have the opportunity to do is create a system and a structure prior to, let's say, employment or collective bargaining or anywhere else, any other idea that's implemented that can give that information on what salaries are or put everything out in the open like it is in the NFL. We have to develop strategies of how are we going to compensate to a market value that doesn't necessarily exist. So here, and again, because of the experience and the exposure, we're able to leverage off what the NFL has done, right? We're able to leverage off the percent allocation for salary cap, right, by position. So if a player is achieved or we see a player at a certain level, we can look at the comparable data, of an NFL player, of what player with similar production, similar attributes, similar traits, what they've done at that level and what that allocation to a salary cap is. So Sam, as you said, while we don't have a hard to find salary cap that's mandated across the board, we have, like any business, like any household, we have a budget, right? And we establish what that constraint is. And if we start to apply some of those ideas of how we do percent allocation, this thing starts to come together, and that's what we've already implemented, right? And so in this specifically in this recruiting cycle, in the class that we put together and signed today, this was all under the vision of what is the appropriate percent allocation, at this position with this level of talent, and that drives the vision, and that's what we're trying to execute right now.
And so let's close talking about the 2 5-stars in the class, for instance, and when you're pursuing guys like Bryce Underwood and Andrew Babalola, who's about to come on after you, who Bryce Underwood is the highest rated player in the history of the program. Andrew Babalola is the highest rated offensive lineman in the history of the program. These are generational talents, right? And so, as you're assigning values to these guys, it has a way of distorting perspectives, Sean. Like, so, some of the reporting, let's also be clear. Some of the reporting is false. So let's start there. So you get false reports that are thrown out.
Yes.
That can distort perspectives. But let's also kind of concede that, valuations for prospects of that ilk are going to be different. Yes. When you talk about, hey, this is the highest rated player in the history of the program and the highest rated offensive lineman in the history of the program. And so, if it helps to have an NFL guy that can sort of explain to other players, they look, these are different. These are kind of like unicorn. A quarterback is different, or a left tackle is different. As an NFL guy, are you having those conversations, or are you bringing in people that can have those conversations?
No, absolutely. You look in the NFL, the highest paid player based on an annual average value of salary, currently is Dak Prescott, right? Dak makes an annual average salary of $60 million a year. Far and away the highest salary in all of pro football, right? The quarterback is the highest compensated position. And coming back to that, what I mentioned about the percent allocation of the salary cap, the current salary cap in the NFL is $255.4 million. So Dak Prescott essentially accounts for about a quarter of the entire salary cap, right, of the Dallas Cowboys. Patrick Mahomes at a $45 million, he's at an exceedingly high percentage. So the NFL has, again, by compensation, what's considered premium positions and non-premium positions, and that defines the market for each of those positions. So currently right now in the sport of football, the quarterback, anything to do with the pass game, right? The quarterback, the wide receiver, the left tackle, the right tackle. So The thrower, the catcher, the protector are all paid at a premium as those compared to any other positions on the offensive side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, the pass rusher, traditionally it's been that edge player. Guys like Aaron Donald and Chris Jones have changed the definition of what it is for a pass rusher in the sport. So it's now, the pass rushers on the defensive line and the cornerbacks, right? So the pass defenders and the pass rushers. So those are individuals that are paid at premium positions. So again, coming back to how you can explain this to a recruit, how you can explain this to someone on our own roster. If you look at it not in terms of what a number is, what the overall number is, but what that percent is, right? How you value an individual and compensate them to a percentage of the total budget, right? That in my opinion, that's the correct way to allocate, and that's how the NFL does it, right? And I think we're ahead of programs that haven't seen how to do this yet. I've heard, again, talk to people all across the country of saying, well, we pay starter money to this position and we do this here, this and here. Well, that's great. That's a system, but relative to what, right? Just because someone's a starter in your program at this position, how do they compare to the rest of the country? How do they compare to the rest of the conference? You need to understand whether it's relative to your team or relative to the entire industry. But you look at, again, right, our pursuit of a guy like Bryce and our pursuit of a guy like Andrew, you don't get opportunities all the time to pursue a player or players like this, right? And first and foremost, the number one trait and attribute for both of them is their Michigan fits. We built this program. If you go all the way back, Sam, one of the first times we talked, right? The first time you interviewed me was following, my first year here at the class of 2018. And at the time, I think that the pundits may have been super critical of what we did, right? Because our national ranking of that class was not exceptionally great, but we kept saying these are Michigan fits. These are individuals that fit in this locker room. These are individuals that will have tremendous success because their culture fits for what we value. In general, a recruiting class, you're hoping to hit 50%, right? Industry-wide around the country. You're hoping to get 50% of the players you sign become premium players at your institution and your program. That first class of 2018, which was ranked in somewhere in the 20s, right? Like maybe 23 or so. I think we signed 19 guys, 18, 19 guys, and we had 11 drafted, NFL draft picks. So not just hits, but draft picks. So when you go back and re-rank, those classes, right? The foundation of a national championship team was created in 2018, 19, 20, 21, and 22. That's how we created a national championship roster off of fantastic, phenomenal players, but the right fits. So coming back full circle now, Bryce Underwood, Andrew Babalola, Michigan fits first and foremost, who are exceptionally talented athletes, but exceptional humans, exceptional people from exceptional families. In the NFL, you talk a lot about, in the draft process, you don't generally miss on the player, you miss on the person. We won't miss on the person here on either one of those guys. So combined with electric ability, high end traits, generational type traits, it's those are the sort of program investments you make.
Absolutely. Sean, it's been too long since we sat down on camera. We talk off camera too, but on camera, it's been too long, man. So I appreciate you. You're my guy. Like I said, we need to do this more often. So
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot for your time. And you're in your groove, man. This is your thing. This is your time, and it's going to become more and more prevalent. I know you like to be in the shadows, but this is not a shadows position anymore, my guy.
I say that, and I realize as well, right? I mean, I'm exceptionally proud of what we've done, what our staff has done, what our coaching staff, our personnel staff, everyone in this building, right? I mean, to put together the work, to see the culmination of that work is awesome, right? And as someone who is leading that effort, I'm enormously proud of the work that it's taken to get here. And I feel like me coming on camera like this, I represent all of those people, right? And the countless hours and work. I'm humbled and blessed to stand in front of you and on camera for the many that contributed to this.
Well, thanks a lot. congratulations for a great class. And I know you're just getting started because the portal's about to open, man. So.
We'll reload and keep going.
All right, man. Thanks a
All
lot.
right. Thanks, Sam.
All right. That's Sean Magee, general manager. Hey, folks. Hey, so you heard Sean. He has work to do. Champion Circle, they're doing their part. They're fundraising. Major donors, they're doing their part. Nate Forbes, Jolyn Ellison, Steven Eisenberg. We go down the line. They're doing their part. Well, let's look in the chat. Chef Maine, Braxtonian, Mr. Martini, James Whiteman, Andy Phillips, G Money 3, Chris Carter, Corey G, Eddie Kane Jr., the real MVP who was talking all that trash. Are you donating? I want to see you. Can you put them up on this? Can not them, but can you put there you go. The New Blue campaign. They need you. I'm talking about not just the championship. I'm talking about the New Blue, the new Wolverines. Like the young man who's been waiting patiently to talk to you, his fans, the highest rated offensive line recruit in the history of this program. When I described him to CBS, I said he brings basketball athleticism with a brawler's mentality. He is an absolute animal. An absolute animal. I have watched Michigan football for a long time. I have not seen a guy like this. Not coming out of high school. Andrew Babalola.
Yes,
Young
sir.
fella.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing great. Congratulations on officially becoming a Wolverine.
Thank you. It's a blessing.
Hey, man. So let's rewind the tape. Before we talk about you becoming a Wolverine, let's talk about you making the transition from basketball to football. Because one of the things that you wonder about when a guy goes from the hardwood to the gridiron, you wonder, are they gonna be physical? Can they be nasty? Can they play with an edge? And man, you came to the football field and were an animal. And I'm trying to figure out where that came from.
Yeah, for me, when it comes to my basketball background, it wasn't just playing like rec or anything like that. I was a avid AAU player, and so I was playing against all over the country against guys who are, 5 stars in basketball now, some even in college. And so it definitely came from me just being really competitive in basketball. And then as well, my background, both my parents from Africa, my dad's from Ghana, my mom's from Nigeria. And so kind of just bringing that African mentality as well. I'd say those two things combined, they translate over to the turf.
Yeah, so I watch you and you can see the athleticism is there. It's just and that basketball, like you can see it, but you finish guys. Like and it's not just playing to the whistle, Andrew. There's like a nastiness to it. And I hear you talk, and I don't hear nastiness, but I see nastiness on the football field, man. And I wonder, is there a switch that you flip? Like, is there an anger that comes out? Like, is there something in there that just comes out when you put on a helmet?
Yes, sir, 100%. My offensive line coach in high school, Kurt Alderman, he described it perfectly. He said, offensive linemen, nicest people in the world off the field, but once you get on that field, I mean, you're an SOB. That's literally what he says. And so, it's just really, making let's just say, hey, you're going to be the best person in the world, kindest, open the door, that type of guy off the field. But once you get on the field, it's nasty. It's time to go.
Yeah, I remember going to see several guys across the country, thinking that, man, you go and, you wonder, are you going to see anyone as good as, Big Dave over in, the number one offensive lineman in the country. And I saw you say there's no difference. Like this is the best offensive lineman in the country. It's certainly the best offensive lineman I've seen Michigan recruit. And then, you're getting recruited by all of these schools like Michigan. But Andrew, it's like, wait a minute, there's something different because your top schools are like Michigan and Stanford. There's like all these academic institutions. And that hit different because the academic piece was obviously very significant to you. So can you speak to that?
Yeah, so the academic piece really comes from my mom. You know what I mean? She's always been on me and my brother about grades, you know. She was the type of mom that was like, if you're not getting straight A's in school, then you can't play sports. You know what I mean? And so really just working hard in the classroom and then as well falling in love with academics, you know. I wanted to go to a school that wasn't only going to take care of me on the field, was off of the field. You know what I mean? And Michigan's number one public school in the country. You know, the amount of people I've met from faculty to alumni, whatever it is, that have just showed me how great Michigan is and what they can do for you off the field. It really just drew me closer to the university. But overall, academics is something that's always been instilled in me growing up. And my mom definitely made sure that academics were a top priority for me.
Yeah, it was clear. You can't look at your list and think that that's insincere. It was clearly the case. And so you go through the process, though, Andrew, and you take your time, and then you decide it was Michigan. So what was it at the end of the day that made you know that Michigan was the place?
Yeah, for me, at the end of the day, it was the people. You know what I mean? I a lot, a lot of great options and a lot of great different things at different type of schools, but it was the people. You know what I mean? And when I say the people, I'm talking about everyone at Michigan. You know, Coach Moore, Coach Newsom, Sam Popper, even the recruiting interns and guys like that. Michigan, it's a place filled with very special people. You know what I mean? And I just had the overwhelming sense that these people, they're going to take care of me. You know what I mean? Whether whatever it is, on the field, off the field, they're going to take care of me. And so at the end of the day, it came down to the people. That's why I chose Michigan.
Yeah, I tell you what, it was. You talk about fireworks going off. Talked a lot about fireworks
Yeah.
over on my site, and you certainly kicked things off in a huge way. As far as Michigan's recruiting is concerned, and this offensive line, I think you represent what it's all about as far as temperament. I mean, athleticism and edge. You, Kaden, Avery, you, excuse me, you guys are all cut from the same cloth. Soft spoken, really high level academic guys who play with an unbelievable edge. Have you noticed that about your line mates?
Oh yeah, I definitely have. You know what I mean? I'm the type of guy that I just go on and I look at film for fun, stuff like that. And when you saw on the tape of Avery and Caden, I mean, when you go across the country, I don't see a center in America in high school football is better than Caden. You know what I mean? I don't see many interior guys in the country that are better than Avery. And so, you know, I just feel like, us, like you said, us being cut from the same cloth, having that same mentality on and off the field is going to bode really well for us. And we're going to do great things at Michigan.
Yeah, one of your viewers wanted to know, do you have a number in mind? One of the iconic offensive line numbers here is number 77. Has anyone talked to you about that? Do you have a number in mind?
Yeah, the number I have in mind is definitely 65. I know obviously
Okay.
Zinter carried that for a while. Definitely want to wear 65.
Okay, there you go. All right. And so you were the first 5-star to commit, but then number 19 committed.
Yes, sir.
When you heard that news, your reaction, did you know it was on the horizon, that you would be, the blind side protector for the number one player in the country? What about that? How did that news hit you?
Yeah, I had heard some, tidbits and whispers about it, but ultimately it didn't really seem real. And then when it did in fact become real, it definitely was a shock, you know what I mean? But Bryce is a, fantastic dude. Obviously, he's a great quarterback, so it was a shock, but as well, it was like, okay, we're here. You know what I mean? It's time to go. And so I'm super excited to play with that dude. And like I say, he's a great person.
Yeah, man. It's you guys have a standard, not only that you're setting, you're upholding, physicality, togetherness. I mean, this class, you can tell it's really tight already. And then you look at the way that you guys committed to Michigan, and stuck with Michigan as you had some adversity that was going on the field. They had lost some games. That really resonated. And now they're hot again, though. People are talking positively about them after they beat Ohio State. First, your reaction when they beat Ohio State. Were you surprised by the outcome? Were people around you surprised? What did you think of the Wolverines going down and knocking out the Buckeyes?
Yeah, to me, I was actually at the Northwestern game the week before they played Ohio State, and just seeing how they came out in that game and dominated, and just hearing about how they prepared, in practice, and the mental piece of up for the Ohio State game. I know they're going to be fine. You know what I mean? And obviously, that's a game that no matter what type of season you're having on both sides, you're going to get up for. And so for me, it wasn't a surprise just because of the mentality of the guys in that locker room, and as well how they prepare for the game.
Yeah, man, outstanding. You go down and pile drive the Buckeyes. Now you're a super nice dude. You turn on that switch on the football field, which you gotta love. So I'm tapping into that side of Andrew, man. Have you already kind of dug up, sort of found that hatred of the Buckeyes? Have you found that piece of you yet?
Yeah, for me, I was born in Michigan. I was born in Bloomfield Township. I moved to Kansas when I was real younger, and so the thing about it is I've always been a Wolverine fan, you know what I mean? And I knew at the end of the day, whether it was on the hardwood or on the field, I was probably a good chance I was gonna have a Wolverine. And so I was with that rivalry, you know what I mean? The mentality is to beat them every single year and, you know, let them know who Michigan is. And so I look forward to doing that with the rest of the great guys in this class.
I got you. All right. So, Andrew, a couple of things. First, I heard you talking about your parents earlier. Let's talk about your support system. I know you talked about your brother before as well. Talk about the people who helped you get here, who helped you on your journey, and how important and pivotal they've been to your process.
Yeah, so first off, I have to start with my mom. You know what I mean? She's my rock. She's been with me all my life, and no matter what it is, through hard times, through obviously now celebrating great things like signing, she's always been there for me. And so I just want to give, thanks to my mom, and then as well my school community. You know what I mean? All my teachers, my coaches in basketball, football, my counselors, the front office people, they've been with me through this entire journey. You know what I mean? There's been a lot of ups and downs, but overall, I couldn't have gotten through without them. You know what I mean? And then most importantly to me is my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Just him always being my solid foundation, my rock, someone I can go to in a time of need, anything like that. God's really guided me through this whole process and is really the reason why I'm here today now. So I just say that's why I'm here, and that's my support system.
All right. And last one, kind of lay out your calendar. I've been asking all the guys what's next. When do you get to Michigan? Kind of lay out what's ahead for you, Andrew.
Yeah, so right now I plan on going up to Michigan around December 20th to December 21st, and I'll be with the team for bowl practice prep, and yeah, I'm super excited to get up and start working with the guys.
Yeah, man. So what are you weight wise up to now?
Right now I'm right around 290. Yeah.
Right around 290.
Yes, sir.
So I've been saying, man, if you can be, 305, 310 next year, not to get ahead of myself, but I'm like, man, I don't see any reason why you couldn't be competing. I'm not saying you're gonna start, but I don't see any reason why you couldn't be competing for it as a freshman. Have they talked to you about that?
Yeah, ultimately the thing about Coach Moore and Coach Newsom and the rest of the staff is they don't make promises. You know what I mean?
Mm.
At the end of the day, you're gonna have to come and you have to work for whatever you get. You know what I mean? So whatever it is my freshman year, I'm ready to work and ultimately do what's best for the team, because that's the mantra and the team of Michigan, the team, the team, the team. So I'm just ready to come and do whatever best for the team.
Well, Andrew, I needless to say, obviously, everyone is super excited. 14,000 people watching you live right now. As a matter of fact, super excited about you becoming a Wolverine. So congratulations on that. Good luck and see you in a couple of weeks, man. Thanks a lot for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right, thanks a lot. Andrew
All right.
Babalola, highest rated offensive line recruit in the history of the storied Michigan football program. And you heard Sean Magee lay it out. He said, quarterback, left tackle. What was the last one he said? He said quarterback, left tackle, and then wide receiver. Quarterback, left tackle, wide receiver. Come on, folks. I mean, it used to be that it was just about the opportunity in education. And I don't mean to minimize that. The opportunity in the education, that's not nothing. That is still, there's still a premium on that. I think if you listen to me, I mean, all of you in here, you're passionate about Michigan. I know if you watch me, live, sleep, eat, and breathe Michigan. You cut me open. I live it, I breathe it. I was up till 3 a.m. and up at 4:30. I'm living right now on 5 Red Bulls and an Adderall. I shouldn't even say that. I'm sorry. I shouldn't even say it. I got to get through the show. Put it online for Michigan. Listen, man. Here's the point. It used to just be about how much you love Michigan, right? It used to be just about how much you love Michigan, how much you love the opportunity, how much you love this place. It'd be great if people just came because they loved it as much as we love it. Or if it was just about the education being as great as it is. But when the finances of the game are what they are, you'd be foolish to ignore them. They'd be foolish to ignore them. Right? And so Michigan isn't ignoring them. Michigan is doing what all the other programs are doing. And that's why Michigan is competing at a much higher level now. That's why Michigan has the SEC saying it's not fair. It's not fair that Michigan has too much money. Think about that. Let me tell you a story. Let me rewind the tape. I had Ron English come in studio about, this is before he was the coach at Louisville. This is in between jobs. He sat down in studio and he told a story about a young man named Jai Eugene. This is how long I've been in the game, because I covered Jai Eugene Sr., who committed to LSU. Jai Eugene Sr. went to LSU. Now, before Jai Eugene Sr. went to LSU, Jai Eugene Sr. was committed to Michigan. This is for you young whippersnappers who are in the chat right now. This is all related to NIL, and I'm going to encourage you to participate in the New Blue campaign. So stay with me. And Ben, please put the link up on the screen so the people can contribute. So we are down in San Antonio. This is about 2 years into the scoops. This is after scoop number 1 of Prescott Burgess, and shout out to PJ who got me started in the scoop game, right? But Jai Eugene might have been big scoop number 2 or 3. He told me before he announced on NBC about a week later that he was going to go to Michigan, and no one had him going to Michigan. Everyone had him going to LSU. I mean, the young man was from the shadows of Baton Rouge, right? No way was he going to go to Michigan. But that's exactly what he did. Great job recruiting by Freddie J. My man Fred Jackson. Shout out to Fred Jackson Jr. What's up, boo? That's my high school quarterback, by the way. And Ron English, of course, who was his position coach. And he commits to Michigan on national television. He's going to Michigan. Michigan hat, cover of the magazine. He's on his way to Ann Arbor. Right? And then a week before signing day, he decommits. Man, you talk about being up a creek. We had a magazine mailed out with Jai Eugene on the cover talking about New Blue, and the young man was going to LSU. That didn't look that good. Anyway, I digress. What happened? About 15 years later, Ron English came. Well, we knew what happened, but it was all whisper. Ron English came and told the story on the air. So I'm not snitching about it. He actually told the story, right? So I actually wrote it. He actually told it on the airwaves. You can go read about it or hear it if you want. He said, listen, Fred Jackson came to my office and he said, Ron, I need you to track down Jai. They were, for some reason, when they couldn't track a guy down, they would tell Ron, we need you to go track him down. They couldn't find Ronald Johnson. They said, Ron, we need you to go track down Ronald Johnson. Ron drives out to Muskegon and he jumping up in Ronald Johnson's window looking for him, right? Can't find Ronald Johnson, right? Can't find Rojo. Well, they couldn't find Jai, couldn't get him on the phone. Ron tells the story. He said, man, when they got a commitment from him, he said he talked to a coach in the SEC, and the coach said, oh, y'all got a commitment. What you don't know is his recruitment just started. You don't know how to recruit down here. It's different. See, you from up north. It's different down in these parts. And Ron said, what you talking about? He said, it's different down here. West Coast guy. You in the South now. Ron didn't know what he was talking about until Jai Eugene. So Ron actually caught up with Jai. He actually found him. And he got him on the phone. And he said, Jai, what's up? We've been calling you for a week. Ron can't get you on the phone. Coach Carr can't get you on the phone. You're committed to us and we can't get you on the phone. Come on, man, that's not right. And he said, Coach, I'm sorry. I didn't know how to tell you this, but my dad just got out of jail. They got him a job. They got my mama a house. They said they're going to take care of my girl. They're going to take care of my baby. They're giving me all this money. Did you hear what I said, Coach? They got my dad got out of jail. He has a job. They got my mama a whole house. They're going to take care of my girl. They're going to take care of my baby, Jai Eugene Jr. now. And they're giving me money. Coach, I got to go to LSU. What you think, Coach? And Ron said, I think you got to go to LSU. Even Ron said, yeah, with all that, you got to go to LSU. That was NIL before NIL. That's how NIL used to get down. And so now those same people are saying it's unfair that Michigan, no, it's unfair that Michigan has too much money. It's unfair. You kidding me? It's a joke. Because legally, Michigan is getting down. But in order to continue to do so, you got to participate. You can't just rely on large donors to do the job that they need you to participate on, because it's about having multiple revenue streams to sustain this effort. You keep tapping one source, sustainability is impossible. Donor fatigue is a real thing. This is what Champion Circle understands. That's why if you go to their site, championscircleufm.com, you'll see that their initiatives are several. And you look at all of the things that they've done over the years. $30 million in support for student athletes since 2021. Been several initiatives. It hasn't just been large donor support. It's been events. It's been crowdfunding. I understand you got to go multiple levels. And so from a fan perspective, your part of it is to not be a spectator. To not just say, hey, we need Nate Forbes. You do need Nate Forbes, but you don't only need Nate Forbes. You can't just say, Uncle Nate, come on, Uncle Nate. You just got it. Hey, Uncle Nate gonna save today. He saved today a lot. But you can't just say every time Uncle Nate saved today. I mean, that's a whole lot of pressure to put on Uncle Nate. You're going to say, Steven Eisenberg. Come on, Steve. You're going to keep asking him every time. Everyone is writing articles on Jolyn Ellison, and she has been a godsend to Michigan athletics. But are you going to go to the well to the point where it's dry? Or are you going to make it a point to fortify your effort, your fundraising effort? That's what Champion Circle is doing, by making sure you have multiple revenue streams. And this is where you come in with the New Blue campaign. You can help. You can be a part of it. And I see a whole lot of passionate support. It's 15,000 people strong here right now. I don't see LSU doing this. I don't see Ohio State doing this. Ohio State has a signing day show. Who do they have doing this? You want to watch Zach Smith do a show? Who want to watch Zach Smith do a show? I don't want to watch Zach Smith do a show. I mean, he might sell you some toys. He's not gonna sell you any. He's not gonna sell you any recruiting stories. I'm just telling you the truth. I'm just telling you the facts. I'm just telling you the facts. My point is, Michigan is different. So you want Michigan to continue to be different? This is how you do it. You help sustain it. The New Blue campaign is not just today. It's going to continue to go. You got to help grow it. If you contributed already, thank you. But your job isn't over. Your job now is to tell other people about it. See, that number isn't high enough. That number's not high enough. We got more work to do. That number should be higher than that. We should be making more progress than that. You need to spread the word. So tweet it out. Tell your people about it. Tell your neighbors about it. Tell your friends about it. This recruiting class is just the start. You also have the portal. The portal is coming up. And they're going to need a whole lot more than that. So let's make it happen, people. This recruiting class is just the first one to have this kind of support. You want many more? You need to support it with campaigns like this. Hope you had a lot of fun on this show. We got a lot more content to come. Bryce Marriage made his way over to Belleville High School, as did Alejandro Zuniga, to cover Bryce Underwood and Elijah Dotson signing ceremony. We had guys all over. We have more coming from Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng's announcement today. Of course, Andrew Olish. We'll see. We'll see. Portal ready to open. We were talking about Miller Moss a long time ago. And then suddenly after we talked about Miller Moss, you start seeing people talking about him on Twitter. This is when he was still a starter. This is before he was benched. We were talking about the name Miller Moss. And then all of a sudden, people start on Twitter and shows start talking about Miller Moss. Funny how that happens. There are other names out there too. My point is the portal is going to be a huge, huge deal. So a lot to watch for over on the MichiganInsider.com and a lot for you to support with the New Blue campaign. So contribute, participate. Don't be a spectator. New Blue campaign. Hope you enjoyed the show. It's been a great, great day and hope have many more like it. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching the New Blue Signing Day show brought to you by Champion Circle. We'll see you next time.